Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to round 6 of the Majors series. And folks, we're in for an incredible race at Watkins Glen. 2 hours of multi-class action where our drivers are really going to have to push the limits around a beautiful circuit of Watkins Glen that opened up way back in 1997 was operating. It opened as a permanent circuit in 1956. It used to be a street circuit before then, but now Watkins Glen holds on as round 6 of our championship for the Majors Series America edition. And so far we've had 3 different races going on. This is the 3rd of our Major Series of European, International, and now America. Joining me on the mic and our producer behind the scenes, Mike Taylor. Mike, welcome to the commentary box again, and it's beautiful to be back at Watkins Glen, especially after coming off the back of the Majors Endurance Championship that raced here last time for 4 hours.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't express how much I love Watkins Glen. This was one of those circuits. It is just such a fun, fast flowing circuit. I mean, it flows just as good as Spa. It flows just as good as Le Mans. And Watkins Glen is definitely one of the best road courses here in North America. And let me tell you what, we are in for an absolute treat as we get ready for this 2-hour event.
That's it. And well, the championship has also been rather tight all round, as leading out the pro division is Austin O'Neill on 750 points. So far, he's taken 3 wins and 3 top 5s, but that is after 5 rounds of racing. He's getting chased down by Christian Chilner, who sits on 636 points. Nathan Dowd trying to chase him down on 628, so it's incredibly close in our pro division. We've also got our Sports Silver, where it's Chris Yeto who's busy leading that out with 488 points, with Kevin Heaton holding on for 485. But these are really the first of the worries that comes in if you get it wrong through the Esses, and also when patience runs out, especially around at Watkins Glen. And I don't think it's going to be the last since we've seen contact out on the circuit. Because it's multi-class action, we have got our LMDH cars that'll be out on the track, same time as our LMP2s and same time as our GT3s. And the drivers within the series have gotten their choice of cars to really fight it out for the top. And I've got to say, we're in for an interesting run to see who can be at the top end of the field and who is going to be able to fight his way up through the order. So with that being said, as we getting ready to go and have some fun with practice underway. It's a short practice, a little bit of a warm-up for our drivers. There's Austin O'Neill, who's leading out the championship now, racing in the LMP2 class, and hoping that it's going to work out for him as he makes his way through the bus stop, getting back onto the power and slinging a long right-hander. He does spot one of our GTPs, the LMDH cars, however, which way you want to call them, are incredibly quick prototypes. Unfortunately binned into the wall, and that is on ice-cold tires. Mike, it is going to be an interesting one with ice-cold tires in 2 hours, as drivers are going to really have to be a bit more cautious for the first 3 laps. They're going to have to tiptoe without running into any problems, but it is also a lot of pressure on our championship leaders to get it right.
Yeah, absolutely. This tire model on these race cars are so phenomenal and so accurate that you can't, you used to be able to come out, put the pedal down to the floorboard and just go flying down into these curves, on that outlap. But now you've got to pretty much, it's a ballet dance the first couple of laps, like you said. These guys got to be easy on the brakes, easy on throttle. They've got to manage that steering wheel just right, getting down into these corners. But once those tires warm up after 2, depending on where you're at, maybe 3 laps, then that's when you're going to see these guys start putting down fast laps. And you guys are going to see that as we'll see a little notification when somebody drops a fast time. I think after like the third lap, we're going to start seeing that thing pop up all the time.
And with it being a 2 hour, it's all about fuel management and tire management, because it does make a monster of a difference around the circuit. Our GT3s are able to go incredibly long on a tank, as they will have 110 liters that you're able to work with. Our LMP2s sit with a 75 to 90 liter tank that work out for them. And our GTPs will be also trying to run with a smaller tank. They've got about 100 liters to work out and see what they can do. The LMP2s are going to be the first ones diving into the pits. But that being said, got a couple of drivers out, and this is one to keep an eye out for. Mr. Christian Chilner at the moment, he is second in the pro division and lying with 636 points behind Austin O'Neill. He's hoping to get a solid victory here today to ensure he can move up in the points, and will be making dead sure not to be caught out. Chris Yeto holds on for first in the sports silver class and 488 points, with Calvin Heaton holding on with 485 points. And then our sport bronze is Justin Johnson, with Matt Gilder going and chasing him down for that one. We will see these drivers fighting it out, because it's all about maximizing the points. Everyone has a right to score in each of the different classes that can help out the championship. Hence why we see Ross Banfield actually jumping into the GTP, and so is Nathan Dowd also jumping into the GTP class, wanting to really move up and also get a bit more fun in those prototypes. Not often we get to go and jump into the prototypes. We've been in TCR cars, we've been in ovals, we have gone and done it all. Now it's time to go and introduce that little bit of, well, having some fun with the major series, with multi-class racing, and especially as we build up to the Majors 24 happening next week. This is also a little bit of practice for a lot of those drivers as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, these cars that, I did say a little bit ago how this track flows like Le Mans. You know, these corners are not exactly as the corners that are ever at Le Mans, but the flowness of these corners mimic Le Mans so well that you can take what you learn here today and apply that next weekend at the Majors 24, which we will be broadcasting 4 splits that on that race day. So you guys, we got 4 splits coming at you. It's going to be a lot of fun. You guys not going to want to miss it next week, as these drivers, are going to line up at one of the most well-respected race courses in the world, and that's going to be that Le Mans circuit. And let me tell you what, right now, last I've checked, we have
over 750, if I remember correctly.
We have 900 right now. We have 905 teams registered for the Majors 24, which is the most ever in the Majors 24 that we have seen. And let me tell you what, if we reach over 1,000 before Friday, my brain is going to absolutely explode.
Well, there's few Covenant prizes in the world of sim racing, especially out here on iRacing. The Majors 24 is one. To get the Major Series win in each of the different regions is a monster of a win. But also with the Majors Endurance Championship as well, Season 3 coming up. But with that being said, we're looking too far into the future there. Let's talk about the race at hand with this. Because multi-class action, 2 hours of fighting out, means that the drivers are going to really have to concentrate on attack, defense, tire management, and fuel management. They don't have to worry about too much on battery management with the GTP cars, thanks to the latest update. And what a save from Nathan Dowd, who got a little bit squirrely coming out of turn 1. He is absolutely trying to keep a bit of pressure on Garen Batten out in the Fusion car as he tries to run away with that Cadillac. It's wonderful to see so many Cadillacs entered for this race. It was at one stage of the game, no one wanted to jump into the Cadillac GTP, and that has now changed. But quite a mixture of cars when we look at the GT3s. where we've got Ford Mustang, McLaren, BMW, Aston Martin. We've got two Acuras, only two Acuras that are driving. But also, if you look at the times, Chris Yoyeto, who currently is fighting in a GTP, leads out the sport in silver. He's sitting in 11th position because also O'Neill in a LMP2 is actually quicker than Chris. So a big show there comes in of the LMP2s can fight out with the back end of the GTPs, but we cannot forget that the GT3s with the ABS, with the traction control, can break a lot later than our prototypes. And that is going to be a crucial thing for the start of the race, because we will see, like PJ Stagosis here, who's able to break a lot later, pull himself into the field, and also might get held up by those prototypes as we draw to an end for our practice session and we get ready to rock and roll for the race right here, the Major Series, for round 6 of the Major Series Americas. And it's wonderful to have you all out there in the virtual grandstands. A massive, massive welcome to you all if you're just joining us. And we can't wait to see how the race moves on forward. They've done pre-qualifying and they have done the mandatory amount of laps needed to be able to drive here. You had to get 24 laps in, plus you had to do your mandatory qualifying just to make sure that you've had the practice and that you're coming in not under-prepared. And that is where our drivers are going to keep an eye out for. It's Ross Banfield. They'll be starting out in first place with Nathan Dowd. Garen Batten in third place with Ulrich Smith. Ryan Worley, Chris Ueto, Sebastian Jackson, Jason Wallet, David Hall, along with Jason Lottridge, Tom Drilling, and Kyle Graham, rounding out our top 12, all in the GTP class. So it's wonderful to see them out there. Moving on to our LMP2 class, it's also O'Neill, Robert Nash, Joseph Homan, along with Mike the Truck, Robert Northway, Travis Walling, Cody Gustwick, Dick Muller, Wayne Hutchinson, Shane Vicari, along with Brian McKeevy and Bob Belturimi. I do apologize. Belturimi coming in on that 12th position. Good to have them out there, ready to have a bit of fun, but it's not all of it, as we've got Timothy Klaus and Roger Shank rounding out in that 14th position, Don Dolson and Bryce Roberts rounding out the pack of our LMP2 in 16th position, Tommy King and Ronald McPherson holding on to the last of our LMP2 class. And over to our GT3s. It's PJ Stagosis along with Christian Chilner in the front row with Christian Abbott, Austin Peterson, Trevor Vorosky going to be fighting it out, a legend here in the Major Series. He's got Ethan Bass next to him, Dylan Bass along with David Baker and Brenton Foster, Ryan Steely, Andy Banfield, and Ray Partridge holding on to that 12th position. All further down the order, we got Brian Barnes along with Brett Precari, Derek Love, Stephen Verwen, along with Robert Love, Lynn Kitchlow, Damian Cotley, and Craig Hawkins rounds out on 20. And it's wonderful to see our GT3s beautifully packed. We got a great split in terms of LMP2s, GT3s, and GTPs, Mike. We're in for an absolute treat as the drivers will be getting ready to go under green conditions very, very soon.
Yeah, we're definitely in for an absolute treat here at Watkins Glen. Again, I absolutely love this place. I don't know what it is about this place, but, you know, as soon as I see a session here, I'm like, ooh, can I run it? Because let me tell you what, this is a racer's track. And if you haven't run it yet here on iRacing, you guys, go buy it. Go get your mini stock. Go get your sprint car. I don't care. Just go out and turn laps here. It is so much fun. And you guys, this next 2 hours is going to be, don't hate me here, but it's going to be absolutely lit, because let me tell you what, that's how much fun this place is.
It's going to be a great one, and it's good to see the drivers ready to have some fun out here as we behind our iRacing Porsche, a safety car to get us all going. The GTPs, you can see moving left to right, trying to generate some heat into the tires and a little bit into the brakes. You'll see that in all the classes, drivers wanting to try and keep as much heat into the tires and brakes, because it's hard braking into turn 1 and flat on the gas to try and get through the Esses without getting caught out. then also try and power your way through the bus stop without clipping the curbs. At the start, you got to be so careful with the prototypes. You got to be ginger with the cars because they can quite easily bite you. For our GT3s, understeer becomes a huge factor that comes out of them. You can feel the weight shifting around underneath you, and they're not as nervous as the prototypes. So the GTPs are the most nervous cars on cold tires, but they are so rewarding when you get it right. The LMP2s is a great mix between the GT3s and the GTPs. It's a lovely place to be in. But as we round the final corner, our safety car will dive into the pits, and it will be on Ross Banfield and Nathan Dowd to lead out as they get ready to go. Lights on, lights on, lights on, lights on for the way we go racing as we launch off the line heading into turn one. It is going to be a late on the break as we see Eric Smith trying to keep it all together. He's up into third place, getting ahead of Garen Batten. Ryan Worley trying to get going, but it's a fight out in the front. Ross Banfield having Nathan right onto the back of him, trying to move forward. Garen trying to get right into the mix as well. As our GTPs have gone under green, we will have our LMP2s and our GT3s under green conditions and are ready. We are seeing mad changes all the way through. Our GT3's release heading into turn one, and oh my heaven, Trevor Borowski suddenly having an Aston Martin arriving into turn one on his inside, trying to keep the Porsche in check as he fights it out. Austin Peterson not going and backing down from the fight. The Aston Martin has got some tremendous straight line speed, but doesn't quite have the cornering compared to the Porsche as they make their way into bus stop. And already we're starting to see some incredible dices, but also drivers battling to keep the cars in check as they're pushing that a little bit harder. Bob Brizzolini, unfortunately. There's Bob, unfortunately, losing it out of bus stop, and he's able to protect it from the wall. Little bit of a scrape, nothing too bad. Unfortunately, it did throw him down the order. And with that being said, Mike, we're off to a great start thus far with drivers fighting tooth and nail already, treating this like a sprint race. But we got to remember, it's a 2-hour race. Do you really want to go on the attack right now, really going and putting those tires through a heat cycle? Or do you think it's maybe just get calm, find a rhythm, and keep going? Well, Ethan Bass at the moment trying to defend against one of the McLarens. That's Dylan Bass that's coming at him in the Scooby-Doo colors of that McLaren.
Yeah, absolutely. I was about to say, let's go get a close look at that number 517 machine, that Scooby-Doo mystery machine. We all love our Scooby-Doo, absolutely. And but let me tell you something, you know, you're talking about getting these guys into a rhythm, and that's the best thing they can do here on lap number 3 of this event. But something that we also have to keep in mind, we have an opportunity to have up to 3 cautions today, or 2 cautions today, and that's all going to be manual cautions through major series itself. And let me tell you what, right now these drivers, we don't even know when those cautions, or if the caution's even going to fly. So it's going to be very interesting to see how all this will play out, you know, as this race gets deeper into the run.
That's very true. It can come out and affect the pit stops, the short stop, and also whether you can carry on. So it's got to be one to bear in mind. You can't bank on a safety car. You can ask any of our MSC drivers that got to feel that one in the last Watkins 4-hour. Cody Gustwick trying to go up on the inside. He's looking to move up. Unfortunately, Travis Walling saying not going to happen. Immediately, it is going to be our Dog Bear Bite coming in 17th position, and ultimately having a solid run up through the order as they keep the momentum going. Bob trying to play a little bit of catch up as well, and needing to really keep on the power as he tries to move up through the order. I mean, we're already seeing drivers giving it everything they got to move forward. Dick Muller, who is just ahead of Cody, managed to get the drop on him, but both drivers running out wide, and you can quite easily start picking up those incident points that can absolutely send you into the ground. Especially with the event rules, you only allowed 16 incidents, then you get a drive-through. Every 8 after that is another drive-through that you can land up getting. Ultimately, that could put you through the pits more times than you really want to be. And especially with Watkins Glen, it is a very, very long pit lane that can cost you so much time. Like, so far, it looks like all clean running. Haven't seen any major accidents, which was one of the concerns for our drivers, is having big, huge accidents, as Robert Love, unfortunately, was starting to open up in the Bucky's colours, and Aston Martin going and giving a little bit of a lean on him, going and causing him to lose a bit of time there, hurting him those tyres a little bit more. But Mike, I've got to say, Watkins Glen has always been one of those circuits it's like Monza. You do worry about big crashes coming into play, but the drivers out here, knowing for round 6, are keeping it rather clean, keeping it rather smooth. They know it's all about seeing it through to the end and scoring those points. It's no point of being a DNF this late into the championship.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so far we've only had 2 drivers that seen the opposite side of the track that you don't want to be facing, but let me tell you what, as of right now, these drivers are doing a phenomenal job. You know, the 2 drivers was Bob Belcherimi and Robert Love. You know, both one in a LMP2, the other one in a GT3. These guys are doing phenomenal. I have seen a couple little yellow flags pop up next to some of these drivers' names, which is, you know, they're meaning that they went off track. This track is notorious for off tracks through the bus stop. So that's something that these drivers really have to pay attention to. And with that, you know, incident limit, they really got to be careful when they come through the bus stop.
Will most certainly climb into the incident points as they go on. But our GTPs are already starting to catch the back end of our GT3. They'll see Ryan Steele in front of him. And Ryan Steele trying... Sorry, that's the BMW. That must be Byron Barnes that they are catching up to. And are really trying to see if they can get around him immediately. Craig Hawkins, apologies. Craig Hawkins going and letting them through, and doesn't want to be fouled up too much. He's in the Red Bull colours at the moment and trying to keep himself in check, immediately getting mobbed by the entirety of the field. They're swinging on by, and our GTP is already trying to suss out what can they do for Craig. This is not where he wanted to be. In a little bit of no man's land, no one to pick up a toe against, and suddenly having the GTP field coming bailing on through. But already the times that they're doing, down to the 133s for our GTP drivers, our likes of our GT3s are on 144s, and that just gives you a bit of an idea of 11 seconds quicker than their faster prototype counterparts. So it's going to be a real tough for them to go. I think the safe one is going to be the LMP2s, because you can quite easily keep the drive up with the GTPs. You can also try and work around the GT3s as we jump on board for Trevor Vorosky, one of the most coveted Majors Series drivers out here. Trevor has done so much and has been around for such a long time. He's one of the stalwarts who is fighting it out in the championship, and it's wonderful to see him out there having a bit of fun yet again out on the track. He's got Christian Abbott just ahead of him in the Aston Martin, and PJ Stagoris just ahead of that, trying to get the run on them. And Christian Chilner still runs the lead of the race, and he's got a little bit of breathing room as well, as we on board with the 992.2 GT3R of the Porsche, one of the newer cars that have been released. And you can see how aggressively he's attacking the curbing here at Watkins Glen, trying to get as much of a run as possible to catch up to Christian Abbott just ahead of him. As we do have, that is Damien Cotley who's coming into the pits and out the pits. I wonder what happened to Damien that caused him to go in and out through the pits like that.
So he got a black flag for the incident back with Robert Love down in here in turn. This incident right here, I think this is turn 7 or 8. He did end up turning Robert Love in that 613 machine, and that is the reason why he got the drive-through penalty for avoidable contact.
Not what he wanted to have, that is for certain. And I think a couple of our drivers will be going and keeping a very close eye on the matter, not wanting to get fouled up. Chris Yeto trying to keep up the run, but here is Eric Smith trying to get the run and he's got Garen Batten right behind him. Garen been trying to close up that gap every which way possible. Unfortunately, not able to get the drive just as yet, all the way out from Australia into the toe, trying to catch up to Smith ahead of him, and also trying to navigate around the GT3s as they come piling on through one of our Honda NSX, and that would be Brett Poncaneri trying to keep the car in check and not wanting to be fouled up at the moment as they come bailing through. But this is already a telling sign. 7 laps in and you're already finding your way in amongst the GT3s. It's going to be an interesting one for all the different classes to try and find out what they can do and where exactly are they going to end come towards the end of this race. As now life is getting a bit busy and we haven't even hit 10 minutes as yet, so it's only in the next 2, 1. Now we've hit 10 minutes of this 2-hour race.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have Ross Banfield, who is getting attacked right now by Nathan Dowd. And I'm going to throw it out there. It's been 10 minutes, and nobody in chat told me that the car sounds were not on. How could you guys do that to me? But we got the car sounds.
You can't ignore the Cadillac. You can't ignore the Cadillac.
No,
I mean, that's got one of the best sounds to go and listen to, especially here in the world of the GTPs. But immediately there is some hard pushes coming up through the order, and Ross Banfield trying everything he can to get the drive. He's lying 10th in the Pro Championship, and with the likes of Nathan Dowd, who is running 3rd in the championship, absolutely hunting him down. They've got to be careful though not to go and land up having too much of a problem and get too pushy with the cars ahead of him, as that is Ethan Bass and Dylan Bass who will be trying to get the run up on one another. You see the Aston Martin going and seeing the Ford Mustang just ahead of him as our GTPs slot in behind, late on the anchors. Nathan trying everything he can, but immediately running out wide over the curbs. He straightened up the steering wheel, because the last thing you want to do is have a little bit of a turn as you go over those curbs. As it bottoms out underneath you, you can land up in a wall of hurt. And unfortunately, we've seen it many times before where drivers land up in the weeds or with a very broken car late on the anchors. Nathan having to really slow the car up, being felled up yet again all over the back, trying to get past Ross Banfield, who got held up behind the GT3s, trying to circle his way around, and unfortunately it looks like Nathan's also having a bit of difficulty as well. So phenomenal running. So great stuff. And let's quickly take a look. This is Tom Durailing, who, just had that slip and slide. He was able to protect it away from the wall, but those tires must be feeling it. And I don't think he's going to be too keen to be driving on a set that's fallen off the planet like that. But it's now trying to figure out what he can do. Nathan Dowd still on the attack at the moment, trying to see if he can get past Ross Banfield as they fight out for the lead in the GTP class. No one breaking out of the run just as yet. Everyone trying to go that little bit longer in the race as it's a little catch against the wall. Nathan losing that little bit of time. Now has to try and pick up the pieces and really keep in for the fight, not to lose out the run. And that little bit of a scratch isn't going to play too much of an effect to his car, that wants to try and make it work out in his favor. They have opened up such a monster gap to Eric Smith, lying in 3rd place, who's dealing with Garen Batten at the moment, as drivers continue on their drive, trying to see where they can go. But it's absolutely hammer and tongs getting thrown at one another right now. No one is able to get that proper run up through the order. No one is able to get past, but everyone trying to figure out what is going to be the crucial pit strategies that come into play. We will expect to see just before the hour mark the GTPs and the LMP2s will be pulling into the pits for their refueling, and that means that life will get rather interesting during the course of this race. Mike, we have seen some incredible fights right through the season, and we are seeing rivalries blowing up, like Travis Walling over here. He is having an absolute amazing time trying to move up through the order, and Brian Bonds trying to go and also move up through the order. So let's take a look. This is Bryce Roberts, who, oh, Jingo's just caught the back end of that BMW. How that didn't end in tears for Bryce Roberts, I have no idea. He did not expect to see Craig Hawkins like that. I mean, let's take a look at the onboard here. So he was trying to go for a pass. Suddenly the BMW in the marbles slowed it up just enough to protect the car. Bryce Roberts just narrowly going and avoiding a massive, massive problem out there. That could have been a proper race ender. Bryce Barnes trying to play a little bit of catch up at the moment to move up the order, as he is really trying to see in for the fight. So Brian hoping that he can keep up a solid run. He's got Ray Partridge just ahead of him in the Acura, going and opening up the distance. And you can't miss Ray's car by having that Lumo green, that Lumo blue, just to go and keep him at the sharp end of the field. While the Skechers livery being utilized by Brian Barnes is a tribute to the doctor himself that races from two wheels into our GT3. And meatball flag coming out for Ronald McPherson. The 143, unfortunately, running into the first set of major troubles here in the Majors Series. What on earth happened to our LMP2 driver? So it was on the power on the way through, was short shifting as well. Suddenly had a GTP nailing it up on the inside. He went out wide into the grass and smashes that nose against the wall. Oh, nothing you could do. Once you head into that grass, that is all she can write. He will have a bit of a fast repair to get himself sorted, but it all started going wrong when he opened up the door, got into the marbles, and it just understeered off the circuit too quick and bang into the wall. Tried going down the gears, but just couldn't slow the car down enough to make it work in his favor. That's rather unfortunate to see, but still has a fast repair to get himself back out on track, as we see Ross Banfield still leads out the charge in the Cadillac, getting chased down by Nathan Dowd, who's all over the back of him. Can't try and get past just as yet, but doing everything he can. Also O'Neill keeping the drive at the moment, and this is for the lead in the LMP2 field. Also O'Neill trying to get a run on Robert Nash at the moment, going and just keeping it below the power band and not wanting to rev the guts out of the engine just as yet. He wants to see if he can save that little bit of fuel, try and make it work out for him at the moment as he plays in the slipstream of Robert Nash ahead in the LMP2s. And I've got to say, this is a great move coming in from also O'Neill. Very clever move to sit in the slipstream, pull yourself along, save that little bit of fuel, and also not get caught out with any major issues right now. It's all about just trying to maximize the drive and ensure that you can stay in for the fight. I mean, ultimately, this is a tough race. This is one that you got to be so careful about, and where exactly are you going to move up through the order. So Austin, at the moment, thinking a little bit of long game, but he is keeping the pressure on Robert Nash just to ensure that if Robert puts a wheel wrong, that he can take advantage of the run. Mike, this has so far been a bit of a mad one, but now we're starting to see the LMP2s carving their way through the GT3 field, and the GT3s can stop a lot later into the corners, making life a little bit more difficult for the LMP2 class thus far, as now they're trying to get onto the back of that BMW. Ray Partridge will be also taking a look in his mirrors, not wanting to get caught out in a solid run with Byron Barnes minding out of the way, allows the two LMP2s to get round him as they go and take the shallow corner in through the final corner. Now it's also O'Neill looking down the inside. He tried to see if he could go full foot, but unfortunately just not enough room to get it done and dusted. We'll have to sit and wait. Now it's gently through the traffic. Rather work with your competitor through the traffic than going and fouling each other up. That can cost us time. And already they're starting to find out how difficult it is as they start making way to bus stop. We've seen it earlier where the bus stop tends to create a huge concertina effect. Are we going to see it again? Also O'Neill caught behind the Mustang. Unfortunately, can't get on by just as yet. And immediately that's Stephen Verweyden who is getting caught up. He has a little bit of an understeer on the corner exit, and constantly trying to see what he can do. I mean, Mike, this has been some incredible racing thus far, and we've only just gone in for the first nearly 20 minutes, and oh, Ronald McPherson into the wall.
Again, he unfortunately is on his out lap from after getting those repairs fixed in that number 143 LMP2. Let's go back here, take a quick look, and he just throttled it up and it just spun around on him on exit of the boot. Might be okay. There might not be that too much damage on that machine, but definitely not the way this race is going for Ronald, as he's hoping to get everything turned around here today.
Now, going to be feeling on the rear suspension, that is for certain. A little bit of aero, you will be told that there is damage on the back of the car. They need to be mindful, but it's cold tires that he's really trying to fight against right now. Ethan Bass trying to get a little go. Well, Brenton Foster having a run at him. This is battle for 7th position, and just ahead in the McLaren, trying to open up the run. Absolutely great stuff, as Dylan currently leads out this little train in the McLaren. He's got Ethan right behind him, and Brenton Foster trying to close up the distance as well. So Ethan Bass has to try and keep it all together late on the anchors, trying to catch up to the mystery machine, see if he can grab a Scooby snack or two. But our Mustang driver not wanting to be caught into a big problem as we jump onto the roof. You can see it's down the hill, looked for the inside, late on the brakes. He tried showing his nose, tried showing his cards early on. Unfortunately, couldn't quite get it done. Dylan was able to open up the gap just ever so slightly, and right ahead of them is also an ongoing fight as well. Jason Wallet going and landing up with a little bit of a difficult time as well. What happened to Jason? This is into the boot. Oh, just got that little bit of a slide. He's able to save it out of the wall. Had to wait for the rest of the field to come through before he could get back onto the gas. Jason falling down the order, not what he wanted to have. Austin Peterson now trying to fight out. He is in the 77 machine, currently trying his utmost best to hold that 5th place, and not having an easy time, as Christian Abbott is up in 4th right in front of him. So the two Aston Martins keeping each other busy, as we do see our LMP2 going into the pits. Ronald McPherson not having that easy run. Ross Banfield, Nathan Dowd still fighting out tooth and nail in the GTP class, trying that utmost best to keep it going. But this is Austin really trying to keep a solid drive and not go and lose out too much time. He wants to get past Christian as fast as possible, right into the back of him, trying to see if he can maybe look for the inside line, giving a bit of assistance with the butt draft there. Not often you get to see it in the GT3 class, and ultimately it worked out rather well for him. Both drivers have been able to open up the distance that little bit more. Austin not wanting to lose a bit of time here, wants to see if they can try and close up to Trevor Vorosky up ahead of them, but now having to deal with the LMP2s coming through as well. This is why multi-class racing is so much fun compared to the usual racing. You have so much going on. You have to think about what you're doing as the leaders of our GTP class come through. You've got to be mindful of the tactics. You've got to be mindful of the traffic. This is where having that little bit of information from a teammate, from a spotter, telling you where you are on the track, what you're going to be dealing with, what cars are ahead of you, what cars are behind you, and where exactly do you find yourself on the track, makes this a thinking game. Especially with a 2-hour race, it's all about going and maximizing the pace. It is solo 2 hours though, so the drivers can't burn through their energy too quickly. They have to think about what are they going to do to see it through to the end. How far are they willing to go? Well, Nathan Dowd at the moment is doing everything he can to really throw everything but the kitchen sink at Ross Banfield. The sector racing not able to get past the likes of Ross Banfield right now, who's making it incredibly difficult. The UDOX Lola not having a easy run out there, trying to hold on to the lead of the race, but it is manic. But Mike, as time goes on, what do you expect to see from these drivers in all of the different classes? We've got pros, and I even though we've got the different classes, we've got our pros, we've got our sports silver, I would like to say these are some of the best drivers in the iRacing service that are getting to fight against one another, and also are not new into the world of endurance racing. They all know what needs to be done to save fuel, save tires, and save time without getting caught up in unnecessary fights.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, you nailed it right on the head. You know, these guys, they live and breathe these endurance races. You know, you're looking at it, oh, it's 2 hours. That's not really an endurance race. Well, 2 hours really is a single stint in a actual endurance, you know, in an actual endurance race. So, you know, these drivers, they're used to running these 2-3 split, or 2 to 3 stints at a single time, you know. So, yeah, this is somewhat of a endurance race because, well, guess what? When they come down, you know, for the final checkered, well, technically for the checkered flag here today, at that point, the next lap, they're going to come and bring their car in, and their buddy's going to jump in next and take it off. So this is part of the endurance racing, and, you know, early on, you don't want to tire yourself out. But here in this one, it's a little bit different because, yes, it is only 2 hours. So you do have to be up on the wheel all 2 hours instead of laying back. So these guys are actually probably running harder now than they are, or than they would be in an endurance race itself. So it's huge. It makes a big, huge difference. And, you know, some of these competitors, I do want to point out, I know this is going a little off track here, but this is the first time in a very long time where the Americas region did not split into 2 different sessions. So your top dogs in Americas are in top split, and the ones that are learning, the ones that are getting better, they're down in that second split, right about to where they should be, you know, with their average. But right now, what we're seeing is you have these top dogs running with the small dogs, and some of these smaller dogs, you know...
Problem up here! Sorry to jump in there. LMP2 versus GT3, and it looks like a bit of a nasty impact. That's Shane Vicari getting involved in the incident, and unfortunately one of our GT3s pinned up against the wall. That's Brenton Foster. He was further up the field in the GT3 class, now trying to get himself going. That was a rather unfortunate tangle. Sorry to jump in there, but it looked to be... Oh, tried going for the inside line, late on the brakes, and just clipped Vicari in the back. And unfortunately, that wintonates him into the wall. Didn't expect the LMP2 to be a little bit slower through the corner, and unfortunately just clipped the rear of that car and just tipped him up. Take a look at it from the aerial view. Just the lightest of touches on the rear, and that was all she wrote and needed for both cars. Both would be sustaining damage. I think Shane Vicari would be feeling more of the impact up against his car, but for Brenton Foster, it's not what you wanted to have, considering he was on a hard chase heading in towards the top 5, wanting to try and make it work out for him. Vicari gonna most certainly not be happy about getting turned around that way.
Yeah, I mean, but unfortunately, you know, through my eyes, you know, really the 27 there, he really wasn't clear. So Vicari, you know, he should have been more, you know, aware that, because he did have to get on the brakes there just a little bit. So, I mean, this one, I would rack it up as just a pure racing incident, as we have a good battle for the race lead at the moment.
Oh, and it's a problem for Nathan Dowd. He's getting caught. He got boxed in. The LMP2 is coming into play, and Nathan got boxed in. Now trying to see what he can do against Ross Banfield to return the favor, trying to box him in early, as we do see our GT3 Porsches. And there is one of the Aston Martins, very, very slow out on the course, trying to get himself going. But man, oh man, Nathan getting boxed in, tried returning the favor. That's Damien Copley, who landed up with a bit of a problem. He's up into full pace right now, but now getting absolutely mobbed by the field. Let's quickly take a look at what happened to Damien. So ran out wide, the rear stepped out, solid impact against the nose, up against the wall, and he got going just in front of our leaders in both the LMP2 class and in our GTP. So not exactly how you wanted to have. He will be feeling a bit of understeer and damage to the tires. That's also going to create a bit more drag on the car than what he wanted to have. We're going to slowly pull him into check. Nathan, unfortunately, couldn't quite get that pass on Ross Banfield. He really did try, but it wasn't meant to be as yet. So completely great racing between them, and it's not done just as yet as Ross Banfield trying to open up that gap. He is at full taps trying to run away from Nathan. These two are not saving fuel, not saving tires. They're working on just giving it everything they got for the first half of this race and wanting to make a serious impact here at Watkins Glen for the 2 hours, and also trying to open up the gap to Eric Smith, who holds on for third place. Garen Batten is 3 seconds bad from him as Tommy King landing up with a meatball flag, unfortunately, due to damage, and that is not what Tommy wanted to have so early on, as this would be just before the 30-minute mark of the race. Oh, it just turned in, went wide, and couldn't slow the car down. All straightened up underneath him and just smashed out that nose. There would be steering damage there as well. Oh, not how you want your race to go, and can sway the championship in for a loop right now. Absolutely incredible stuff. We also have an ongoing fight for our LMP2s. It's the likes of Robert Nash and Austin O'Neill. They're having a go with one another, first and second of the LMP2 class, as they're also trying to keep the run through one another. At the moment, it is Robert Nash that is leading ahead of Austin O'Neill. Austin hoping to get some good solid points for the championship here, as he's running first overall. Does not want to be caught out with any problems, but for Ross at the moment, for Robert Nash, is an absolute charge. He's running fourth in the championship to Austin O'Neill in the pro division. He's only been able to get 4 starts thus far. This would make it his 5th, where Austin O'Neill, this would be his 6th round. So a good haul of points on both drivers, but ultimately, who can finish ahead of who come the end of this race is we got ongoing fights, little silos happening out there, but drivers starting to consider where are they going to be pitting? When are you going to be pitting? Are you going for the undercut, the overcut? How much time have you got left before you run into a bit of trouble? Are you going to change tires? As Watkins Glen burns out the front left a lot and the front right through the high-speed sweeps on the LMP2s and the GTPs. The GT3s are a little bit more balanced with their tire usage compared to the high aero cars such as the prototypes.
Yeah, absolutely. As we see Tommy King in that number 51 machine getting a black flag. Let me head over to my notes and see if there's an update. No, I do not see an update here. So let's go see Tommy King. He just left the pit, so he might have got a black flag for speeding on pit road.
And so easy to do, to just get off the button a little too early, and absolutely hurts him. He just had to get that car repaired after going and having a bit of a touch with the wall. Robert Northwaite trying to get a little bit of a run, as well as he's got Travis Walling just getting ahead of him. Looks towards the inside of Walling, couldn't quite get it done though. And they've got Dick Miller going and closing up as well. Dick hoping to get involved in the fight as our LMP2s are starting to heat up as well during the battle here. 32 minutes into this race. It's a 2 hours of Watkins Glen for round 6 of the Majors series for our Americas division. And it's absolutely wonderful to go and see our drivers giving it everything they can. And take a look over to the virtual grandstands. Got a little bit of support coming in for Nathan Dowd, going and saying, come on, Nathan, you can do it. You can get that little bit of momentum in the GTP class. Well, it's wonderful to see the fans coming in, enjoying the racing with us here at the Major Series, but we have got still so much to go on, and our drivers still giving it a hard push right the way through as our drivers looking for that run. Let's talk about the championships in terms of the teams, as we got Fusion Gold America, and as I talk about Fusion and I talk about Gold, Jason Lottridge into the wall, landing up with a world of problem. He just outbraked himself. Oh, clipped into the back of the LMP2, and unfortunately landing up with both of them getting caught out. Jason did roll back, managing to avoid the wall, but that was a solid impact against the LMP2. This is Tommy King. Oh, losing the back end of the car into the wall, something we have seen quite a few of here tonight. and Tommy King needing to go and get that car back into the pits to get himself sorted out. So not what he wanted to have. Mike, I mean, so far we have seen it's become a act of driving nutrition at this stage of the game, but still lots and lots of brawls going on out on track, as we've got Jason Lottridge trying to keep Tom Drilling behind him at the moment, who is absolutely on the hunt.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, a lot of these drivers are gotten themselves into a rhythm as we're 34 and a half minutes into this race. Their tires are absolutely at max performance, at max peak at this point. And so, you know, as we're watching these drivers, you know, make their way around this beautiful circuit, you know, it looks like they keep getting faster and faster and faster. And let me tell you what, right now, man, they're putting on one heck of a show. And I'm looking through every, you know, the whole entire standings here, you know, jumping up here to your race leaders between Ross Banfield, Nathan Dowd. These two have been going at it for the last 15, 20 minutes. You know, we scroll down here to Austin O'Neill and Robert Nash for the LMP2 race lead. You know, these guys are duking it out. Jumping down here to the Christian Challenger, he's just about 2 seconds behind PJ Sturgios at the moment due to the LMP2 traffic. But if you go down to Ethan Bass in that 594 machine, you know, he's right there on the back bumper of Dylan Bass in that 517 for the 6th spot. So, you know, we're looking through it all, and, like, you know, we have battles all over, including this one right here with Joseph Homan going extremely wide, and he will lose that ground to Cody Gustwick there through the carousel.
He was just going and checking how it looks on the outside, making sure the marshal posts are okay. You know, it's got to worry about the safety aspects when it comes to it. Well, Joseph Homan going and giving it everything he can. Flag. Oh, we have got a safety car coming out, which means you keep up your race speed. You're not allowed overtaking until you get behind our safety car, and then it's backing things off. So there we go. Our safety car will be deployed to pick up the leader, Ross Banfield, and this will take every bit of gap that you had and absolutely negate it, causing life to be a little bit more interesting. And our first caution here today, and it looks like quite a few drivers are going to be thinking about their pit stops during the course of this race. Do they get a cheap pit stop done now? Since it's been 36 minutes, have they burned enough fuel for the short stop to try and see if they can make full stops towards the end, get rid of that short stop now, or are they going to keep behind the safety car as we see them coming by? But it also means that our GTPs are going to be stuck behind the LMP2s and our GT3s. It's a mixed match wherever you are, not able to get past, but it's also slow going, which means that temperature you've just generated into the tires and brakes is now starting to cool off, and then you're going to have to put it through yet another heat cycle to keep yourself going. So Ross Banfield, after fighting it out, Nathan Dowd has got that room negated, and now will be on the charge. Garen Batten as well, along with Eric Smith, but also up in our LMP2 field, Robert Nash and also Neil, they have had a little bit of a gap to the rest of the field. Unfortunately, that is now negated as well. Ryan Worley, who's caught dead in the middle of the lots, he's lying 14th overall and lying 11th in his class. He's in the Cadillac, but will be trying to fight his way back up through the order as he's got to get past Mike the truck, along with also Neil and Robert Nash as well, who are not going to be having a blue flag as they get going. So this is going to be an interesting one. The safety car will be out for 3 laps for our drivers to just get themselves sorted out. And the question is, how busy is pit road going to become? I mean, Mike, this is where you start coming up with strategy. This is where you start talking to the team and go, right, how much fuel have I got to save? Or do we just get it in, get into the box, get ourselves sorted, and back out onto the track to see if we can get rid of that short stop that may be needed during the course of this race?
I want to go ahead and come down and get fresh rubber, and I want to go ahead and fill up my fuel simply because, well, that's me. I like having my fresh rubber because, you know, I don't really know how to save my tires, but at the same time, you can double stick these tires too. And with only being 40 minutes, maybe some drivers don't take tires, keep the heat in it, so when we go back green flag, they don't have to wait as long to go hard at it again. So, I mean, it can go either way here at this moment, but that next pit stop after this one, you're definitely going to want four tires. As you see your LMP or your hybrids, H your GTPs are now coming down pit road. Onto those pit limiters, everybody's coming down pit road at this moment.
So it is all the LMP2s and the GTPs heading through the pit lane, and a couple of the drivers thinking about doing a bit of a stop. This is how our drivers are looking to move forward with the pit stops. Is this going to be an option? The GT3s will now be trying to see what they can do, and immediately it was an idea for Ross Banfield, Nathan Dowd. They all decided the same thing. Get into the pits, get yourself sorted, get some new rubber put on if necessary, and refuel the cars, leaving our GT3 field to go and get by and get themselves sorted out, with a couple of the LMP2s deciding to stay out as well. This has been an interesting call, but you could see how everyone's going. Right, cheap stop, let's get it done, let's move forward and see how we get moving up during the course of this race. Jason Lottridge as well, being one of those drivers that needs to keep an eye out as we get back underway. The drivers now leaving the pit lane. They can start getting a little bit of pace underneath them and try charge after our safety car. The LMP2s and the GTPs haven't got a huge tank to work with, so they will be doing more stops than most. But let's see how it's going to affect the race coming in, as our GT3s are going to be more than happy to keep up a solid drive. PJ hoping to keep in the lead of his class while he's dealing with the first of our, well, LMP2s that's hovering around just ahead of him. We'll have to think about, okay, what do I need to do to try and get a good start here, not to be caught out by Christian on that start of the race. Trevor Vorosky is also looming as well. Trevor is not new to the safety car procedures. He knows how to clear the rest of the field when it comes down to it. That's how he's been able to take championships in the past. But now it comes down to who has got the run. For any of our GD3s, this is where you start thinking about what's your tires feeling like, where are you saving that fuel. That little bit of lift and coast is well needed to move up through the order. And also, can you go that little bit further? It was this the option for them to go into the pits, and the GT3s deciding, no, I haven't got it through enough fuel as yet to get rid of that short stop. Let's go in a little bit further. I mean, this is a tough call, Mike. This is always a very tough call with 42 minutes into the race, and it already looks like what is the pit stops going to be like for all the rest of the field. So far, the GTPs and the LMP2s have had a solid run, but now they're going to have to save that fuel after an early pit stop.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is one of the hardest things about iRacing is, you're not only a driver, you're also your crew chief. But you don't have access to the data that your crew would have if you had a in-race spotter. So they can look at all that data and everything and go, yeah, you're good. Go ahead and come on down. So this is definitely one of the hardest things to do here. As you see, the GT3s all start coming down pit road now, as they're looking to get some fresh tires on their sports cars now. And let me tell you what, with this caution, there's a couple guys I want you to pay attention to as we get back underway. One of them is going to be Trevor Vorosky in that number 10 Porsche. He has been wicked fast everywhere we've gone. He is always the one that you're going to go, yeah, I'm going to watch him. Also, Christian Chalonier in that number 1 machine. He's also been very strong as of late. Right now, he's probably going to be sitting in that second position as they come out of pits here, as they pass Steven Verwayen on the exit. But those two drivers, I'm going to tell you to watch those guys, because they're going to have something coming. As we see Derek Love getting a black flag, Lynch Kinchlow. Wait, is that... Yeah, Derek Derek Love getting a black flag in Lynn Clinchlow. I'm not exactly sure. Yeah, those will probably get waved
That
out. Those will probably get waved out. That's not going to matter. But yeah, we've got some exciting racing still to come.
Could that be for going a little too quick in pit lane? And I know that some drivers don't quite turn on the pit limiter. They try and say, I know my car, I know the throttle, and you just happen to go an extra 2 kilometers fast. Don't ask me how I know that, but it does happen. And great to see that our drivers back out on circuit, going and lining up, getting ready for the go. I mean, this is going to be a hard charge up through the order, and a lot of these tires are cold, absolutely ice cold, along with the brakes, as they're going to be trying to figure out what can they do to move up through the order.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm looking here at our grandstands, and I see a sign that says Ethan Bass is making an appearance in the race. Yes, he is. As we take a look here at his Logitech Ford Mustang GT3, as I actually love that car. I like the color purple, and it's giving off a Galaxy look. Can't complain too much about that.
It's definitely a bit of fun, and one of the very few Mustangs that's actually racing. We've got 3 Mustangs on the course, and Ethan is one of those cars. Then Stephen Verwainen is one, and he landed up having to reverse back into his pit box on the camera view, so it looked like he didn't quite get that sorted out. Then Kinchlow will have to also do a black flag, and we'll have to get that car sorted out as well. So great to see the Mustangs not completely forgotten about in the world of GT3 racing. They came out with a big boom. Many of the drivers enjoy the look, the feel, the sound of the cars, but of late, thanks to the newest of BOPs that have come in from iRacing, it makes things rather difficult to drive these cars and ensure that they are top runners. That's why we see a lot more of the Porsches and McLarens lurking around. The McLarens are well favored here today, along with our BMWs. Having Aston Martins are the second favorite due to they are not so aggressive on their tires compared to the rest of the cars. Well, this would be the second time through, or this would be the final time our safety car would come through for boxing. So our drivers would have spent 3 laps behind. And really, you could see drivers trying to get some heat into the tires, heat into the brakes, really going that extra little bit. They are not wanting to get caught out too early on the start here and wanting to try and close up. But a restart is always one of the most dangerous things in the world of racing, because you can either be caught sleeping, you can get caught out on the restart with cold tires, and with the safety car lights off, you now know next time by, it's in the pits and it is go time. All that gap that you had to your competitors, well, it's gone, and now you're going to have to try and rebuild. And you can see Ross Banfield really trying to scrub those tires as hard as possible. Nathan not concerned about it too much, now just trying after the fact, not wanting to go and put the tires through too hard of a heat cycle too early on, and a lot of the drivers wanting to just see if we can keep it alive. Garen Batten up into 3rd place for the GTP class. But moving on to our LMP2s, it's Austin O'Neill, Robert Nash, and Robert Northway that hold on to the top 3 there. PJ Stogoris, Christian Chilner, and Christian Abbott hold on to the top 3 of our GT3 field. So it's going to be a close run, but our top 3 now can all see each other right in arm's reach, and be sure they are going to make life a little bit more difficult for one another. But our GT3s are definitely going to have the run into turn 1, and got to be so mindful of the LMP2 cars. We've already seen what happens under braking when they get a bit short-sighted and caught up into a mess. They're not wanting to repeat that same issue that we had early on, especially now that we're 48 minutes into this race, into this 2-hour race. There is still plenty of time on the board to get it completely right or get it completely wrong, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely still time to get it wrong, but still plenty of time to get it right, as these drivers are getting ready to possibly go back green here in the next couple of laps. I don't think they're going to go green this time by, because I think they're going to try to get them all sorted out, on track as they should be with their own classes. Unless they've already done that and I just didn't notice it. But yeah, I think actually, never mind. I think they did it already, and I think all the classes are together. So we very well could be going green this time by.
Well, yep. Safety car looking to go in and will be leaving the front end of the field. Starts accelerating away. Ross Banfield has the pace with Nathan on his tail, looking to try and get away as our safety car mine's out of the way. It's going to be lights on and go racing as they absolutely on the power early on, and everyone trying to get a good start. But a couple of black flags coming into play, and it looks like a bit of damage as well. One of the cars losing out the nose, but it is manic heading down into turn one as our drivers get going. Nathan Dowd with some serious damage to the back end of his car. He was a front runner that has now been caught out. Garen Batten got on the power a little bit too early. Multiple black flags from drivers being way out. And now is Nathan with no rear wing. That back end is not looking good on him. And that must have happened going in towards turn one. He lost out that little bit of ground. I think he was rear-ended. That landed up smashing the rear end of that car. So let's quickly go back a little bit. This must have been on the restart. Yes, it was. It was on the restart. You'll see one of the LMP2s actually coming through the field, got short-sighted, thud into the back, and getting caught out. That is not what he wanted to have. And Travis Walling landing up with a black flag. There is a number of drivers running into a world of trouble, but Nathan, who was on a solid run, will have to get that car back into the pits to get himself sorted out. Early start coming in from the LMP2s, and unfortunately, Nathan was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. He tried seeing for an option to get on by. Garen got the jump on the start to move his way up through the order, as it was the number 5 coming into the back of him. That is first place of the LMP2s. Austin O'Neill was caught out in the run. So Garen got on the power a bit early, and immediately Ross Banfield was caught sleeping. It was an impact in the back by Austin O'Neill into Nathan Dowd that went and caused that damage. So our front runners in the LMP2 class landing up, going and changing the race at the moment, and Nathan having to fix the rear axle plus get that rear wing sorted. There is a fast repair that he can utilize, but it's not how he wanted his race to go as he slips down the order. And it all started with Ross Banfield not getting off the line quick enough and going and catching out the rest of the field.
Yeah, definitely. That was definitely very unfortunate there for a lot of these drivers. As you see Nathan Dowd popping that wing back on, and he's going to go ahead and come back out, but he's going to be way back behind everybody else by just about 52 seconds. While we're looking at the replay at the start, the number 2, Branson had issues. Oh my gosh. Oh! Hard get back for Foster.
Yep, that's how you take a long nose and you make it as short as a pug's face. And unfortunately that didn't work out. And this is Joseph Homan getting turned round. He was just touching on the wall, but has to wait for the entirety of the field to clear on through before he could even turn that car around and even think about turning the car around. Not what he wanted to have. Ross Banfield now into second place. Garen Batten 1.6 seconds up the road from him, and he is going. Sebastian Jackson now holding on to third place. Eric Smith followed by Christian Eto, David Hall, Jason Wallet, Jason Lottridge, Ryan Worley, Tom Drilling, and Nathan Dowd rounding out our 11 cars at the field. But it is Austin O'Neill who leads out our LMP2s with Robert Nash, Robert Northway, Travis Walling, Dick Muller, Cody Gustwick, along with Shane Vicari in 7th position, Wayne Hutchison in 8th, Timothy Klaus, Roger Shank, Bob Balterini, along with Bryce Roberts, Mike DeTruck, along with Don Dolson, Brian McGeevy, and Joseph Homan at the back of the LMP2 field, trying to get that little bit of a charge. But you can already see where it starts coming into a bit of a problem, as it's Austin O'Neill all over the back of our LMP2 DH field as he's trying to navigate his way through. And Austin is not hanging around here. He wants to really start opening things up. He's onto the back of the Cadillac just ahead of him, not able to get on by, and immediately having our driver Nathan down, getting on past. Nathan, not wanting to lose a bit of time, is chasing after Tom Drayling a little bit ahead. And what a pass it was. But now it's trying to keep it all together for Nathan. It's trying to keep calm under the heated situation. For Austin O'Neill, he knows that he can catch up to these guys. He knows he's got a little bit of room away from Robert Nash. And now he needs to concentrate on making up that little bit of time. But I do think the red mist has definitely kicked in for Nathan at the moment as he's trying to push his way back up through the field. PJ Stagoris leading out our GT3. He is under pressure from Christian Chelner in second place. The Porsche, very, very agile through the corners. Very, very easy to take around the corners compared to the Aston Martin, but it does lose out in straight line speed here at Watkins Glen. And I've got to say, an interesting take to each of the cars, as you can see, really rubbing up against the side out of the final corner. I mean, Mike, we have seen the cleanest of starts from the start of the race. It was clean. On the restart, that's where it all fell apart.
Yeah, absolutely. It's because everybody's adrenaline is going, and they know that this point in time, this is where everything can turn around for them. So they're going to do everything they can to make it work for them. And sometimes, unfortunately, it just doesn't work out. As Robert Northway here, he has issues down here in the bus. Oh, get it on the curb. What a save.
Manages to save it. Oh, man. Flat spot the tires on the way through. And that LMP2 driver just became a pilot going and launching over the curbs. Absolutely well done. And I think there was a little bit of a deep breath, just trying to slow the car down, a bit of a moment, but was able to get that car stopped and ready to go. So
early on, early on, man, it's these restarts are going to be hectic, because they know that, well, this is what I had in that first run. This is what I got. I need to get better on this restart so I can stop as far as I can. And that's kind of what these drivers do. They fight. About 6 laps later, all right, this is about where I'm going to be. So let me see what I can do to gain on the guy in front.
Got to try and get some early gains in the race as we nearly close to the first hour being done, dusted, and completed. But we still got the fights going on as we do keep an eye on Christian Chelner. But we do have a fight for 3rd and 4th place in the GTP class and 3rd and 4th in the LMP2 class. Sebastian Jackson for the Fusion team under some serious pressure right now as he's got Eric Smith putting a heap load of pressure onto the back of him, trying to get on by. Our Cadillacs not having the easiest of runs at the moment. And I've got to say, I've got to take my hat off to David Hall, who is sitting behind Christian Neto. He's lying in 6th place. He's the only BMW out on the track and showing off what it can do for the iRacing Lounge drive. It's absolutely a fantastic thing to go and see, and especially with iRacing recently announcing that they're going to be moving on to the BMW Evo version, where it's got a smaller front intake compared to its larger version. So this should be, other than the Majors 24, the Majors 24 will be the last outing for this spec of BMW. So this is the second last outing that it's ever going to have, and David Hall deciding he's going to take it and see it through to the very end. I mean, giving it some proper laps out there.
Yeah, absolutely. As we do see a couple black flags coming in. The 517 machine, he's going to get a drive-through for car contact causing damage. And then the 72 as well, as he made car contact under yellow flag conditions. So, they really take those contacts under yellow real serious here, and they will get you if you do hit another car under caution.
Got to be so careful about it. You got to follow the rules, and that is why we've got live stewarding, keeping a very close eye on the matters right here at the Majors Series. With the championship getting so close towards the end, It is absolutely crucial that you don't land up with problems. The last thing you want to do is getting caught out. As Travis Walling at the moment trying to keep himself up in third place for the LMP2 class. He's got Dick Muller trying to keep a little bit of pressure on him, and it's wonderful to see the fight ongoing. But Travis doing everything he can to keep that car up towards the front, watching his mirrors like an absolute hawk right now, as Dick constantly putting pressure on the back of him, trying to see where he can go. And just behind them, sitting, waiting, biding his time, is Cody Gustwick, who will be more than happy to see these two tangled up and losing a little bit of time on the drive. Absolutely great stuff. A little bit further down into our GT3 field as well, we've got a battle for 4th place as Ray Partridge trying to move his way up, but it's Christian Abbott onto the back of Ethan Bass at the moment. Ethan hoping to keep a solid drive in the Ford Mustang, late on the anchors, trying to close up the distance to Trevor Vorosky, but he has got some serious pressure from Christian Abbott behind, who is not releasing him at the moment. The Aston Martin driver forcing the Ford Mustang to really go and push those tires a little bit harder to see where exactly that's going to cause a bit of a problem. Trevor Vorosky, however, lying in 3rd place, wants to stay clear of these fighting duo behind him, so he doesn't get drawn in and lose crucial time as well. We are now just over the hour mark, 1 hour left in this race, and we have still got some incredible battles, but I don't think it's going to be just called done yet, as possibly a second safety car might come out. We might see a next round of pit stops going right towards the end. Those short splash and dashes might be a very crucial thing for many of the drivers.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely a very good possibility as we get later into this run, as we have Irish Smith in that GTP finally coming down for his drive-through. Now we're still waiting for Dylan Bass to do the same thing. You know, as we do cross over into this halfway mark, there is a couple shout-outs that I would like to give, if you don't mind. First off, you know, thanks to Aaron Batson and everybody over with the Major Series to help us get this put on for you guys here today. Want to send out a big thank you to Jake Fox and Tim Gardiner, as they are your race control for today, as they are making those tough decisions on if they should be able to send out those penalties or not. So big thank you to all of them as well. Final shout outs, we want to say, you guys head over to majorsgarage.com for all of your setup needs. They do have free setups as well, so definitely go check them out. Definitely get the subscription. It's definitely absolutely worth it. MEC, ladies and gentlemen, our next big event for MEC is coming up, and it is coming up in a hurry, as your MEC series will tackle Road America for 12 hours on July 18th, and that begins at 6 a.m. Eastern Time. So 12 hours of Road America is going to be an absolute blast over there. We want to thank as well simracingstewards.com, something that the majors put together. If you need any racing stewards for your series, please head over to simracingstewards.com and put in your job posting there, and one of our fantastic stewards will pick it up and join you guys. We also want to thank Whiplash Sim Cams for giving us all these beautiful views that you get to see here around Watkins Glen and all the other races that we have here on the Major Series Network. And last but not least, we want to give a big, huge shout out to Sud Speed, as they are your primary sponsors for MEC, and thank you to them. You know, we got some awesome gloves to give out at the end of the Majors 24 race, so you know, you guys check out sudspeed.com, I believe it is, and you know, check out what they have to offer. Really good, high quality racing gloves and other things that you may need. So on that note, I'm going to stop my rambling, and Steven, Go ahead and tell me to shut up and take it from here.
No, well, you've went and touched onto it. The MEC final round, 12 hours of Road America coming up. But this is round 6 of the Majors Series Americas at the moment. And our drivers trying to get a solid run. We saw Ethan going and getting fouled up a little bit into turn 1. And that has just allowed Christian Abbott to get right into the back of him, seeing where he can get that little bit of a drive. As it's late on the anchors, our hypercars, while GTP is trying to get on by and not lose too much time. Our GD3s trying to keep it all together as Trevor Vorosky has to take a very tight line through this long right-hander, and that costs him a bit of pace, allowing Ethan to close up. I mean, these are some incredible pace. But our drivers now trying to really throw it out, and we're already seeing problems. Ray Partridge, the lone Acura. No, my Acura! Landing up as a meatball flag. Oh, it's just painful to see. Oh, man. But unfortunately, that's what tends to happen in multi-car racing. Sometimes it works for you, sometimes it doesn't. And our drivers, unfortunately, running into a world of trouble. Just with the meatball flag coming up. And that was our Acura. And here it is, Ray Partridge out there, just at the rear, step out underneath into turn 1. Solid impact against the wall, and that is rear suspension taken out in one fell swoop. Just late brakes, turned it in. The rear did not want to live with that pace, and unfortunately that was it into the back of the wall. And I hope they can get that car back out on track to see it through to the end. But we're once again seeing the fights coming through. Jason Wallet trying to keep up a solid run. He's got Ryan Worley keeping a bit of pressure on to the back of him, and Ryan not wanting to lose out a bit of time. Got a superb exit compared to Jason. Out of the final corner, side by side. It's a drag race down into turn 1. Who's the last to the late breakers? It's going to be a tough one as they continue to keep it side by side. But Jason, we're now a little bit wide. Had to come off the power and lose out a little bit of time there. And that's just allowed Jason Lottridge to catch up and have an opportunity to go for it. But it is going to be a quick flash on the lights. You don't want to go too mad, as our GT3 suddenly going to get mobbed in. Who's going to have the run, though? Jason Wallet gets himself caught. Unfortunately, loses a lot of time there. Gets involved in the GT3 battle and loses sight of Ryan Worley. Lottridge backed out of it. He saw that he wasn't going to clear through them. Rather waited out instead, and now can focus right back onto the attack. But Jason Wallet, unfortunately, going and losing out a huge amount of time in through the bus stop, having to come to a stop at the bus stop to get his way through. I mean, this has been absolute madness so early on in the race, and now Lottridge has got the run on Jason Wallet. Once again, down the inside he goes, late on the anchors, swings it through, runs out a little bit wide, a little bit of understeer creeping in. They still side by side, coming into the tightest part of the circuit as it narrows up. Very difficult to get a pass done here. Trying to see if he could go for the under. Lottridge doing everything he can. Up and under. Swings it out wide. Brings it right back. A great show between these two drivers, giving enough room. But it's Lottridge that's able to get a solid exit. And Jason Wallet, unfortunately, dropping down to 8th position. And what a run from Jason Lottridge to move up through the order. But now having to try and fight his way through the rest of the pack of the LMP2s and GT3s around him without losing too much time. Here is Brian McGeady. Unfortunately, solid impact. Just turned in and collected his fellow LMP2 runner. And that's Joseph Homan again, unfortunately, getting caught into a bit of a problem. McGeady just turned in, wanting to make the corner, and unfortunately, no room there. But caught out, and not having a bit of sight to the side of him cost both drivers a fair chunk of time. Dick Miller landing up with a bit of a problem in the LMP2 as he was trying to chase down the GT3s. Look to the outside. Up onto the marbles, and that's all she wrote. Up into the marbles. He's able to keep it out of the wall. You can see he kept his foot solidly on the gas to try and pull that car right, and instantly gets mobbed by the rest of the field, and nearly having his rear becoming one with the field. Jason Wallet, unfortunately, losing a bit of time. He's got Eric Smith now onto the back of him. while it's Lottridge trying to open up the gap and close down on Worley a little bit further up the road. 4 seconds adrift up the road. Ethan Bear is trying to move up into third, and Ethan not wanting to lose time at the moment. Christian Abbott keeping a solid run as they side by side with David Hall in the BMW LMDH car. He's able to try and open up that full taps. Trevor Vorosky going and keeping an easy line through the Esses. He's going to be quite thankful that the GTP is managing to catch him in the easiest parts of the circuit. You can just hold your line, not worry about it. But for Ethan Bass, he's absolutely trying to close down on that Porsche and also try and see if he can shake Christian Abbott as much as possible. I mean, this is turning into a wild race. Everyone trying to see what they can do here to move on forward, but also trying to concentrate on what they can do with their tires and their fuel. I mean, Mike, so far we have seen multiple changes for the lead in all 3 classes, and not a single one of our drivers are giving up the fight just as yet. They are absolutely staying in right to the end, as we do see Brian McGeevy getting a black flag. That is going to be for the contact that he had with Joseph Human. And fastest lap of the race goes to Garen Batten at the moment, who's been on a stellar run, but will be running a little bit low on fuel, and that's where the faster times are starting to come in. Clear road, low fuel, and you got nice warm tires. Well, it's all going to work out, but the question is, how long can he keep pushing before he needs to bring that car into the pits, and Ross Banfield's going to have another shot at him?
Yeah, that's definitely a really good question. You know, I'm going to go back to where you said, you know, the leaders in every class keeps changing. You know, that first, you know, 40 minutes of that first run, you know, Ross Banfield, he was absolutely on fire. So far, since we've gone back green, Garen Batten, he said, see you later. This is my field. And now he's starting to pull away. Austin O'Neill, he was back in that 3rd place as, who was it out front most of the way there? I know Shane Vicari, he was up front. But Austin O'Neill, he was sitting back in that 2nd, 3rd position. But now he's out front by almost just about 3 seconds in front of Nash. Coming down here to the GT3s. Trevor Vorovsky, he restarted back in that 5th position. He's up here in 2nd. But PJ Sturgos, no one's been able to touch him. So he is out to just about a 8.5 second lead now over Vorovsky and Bass, or Bass, who is only half a second behind Vorovsky. So, I mean, the racing here has been absolutely phenomenal all race long. And these drivers, they're still not done yet.
There's still a lot in the tank at the moment for the drivers to keep their foot on the power all the way through. Shane Vicari trying to get a stellar drive at the moment. He has got a problem with Muller right behind him, trying to chase him down. Dick not wanting to be caught out here, gets onto the inside, following Vicari through, as they do see one of the LMP2s going straight on, locking up the tank, locking up the brakes, and unfortunately losing that little bit of time. But Dick trying to keep the pressure on, as Ronald McPherson going off circuit and has got severe damage to the car as well, so he will need to get that sorted out. The damage was prior to it, and that's probably where he went and clipped the wall. Yep, he went through the right-hander, had the rear step out into the dirt, hard impact against the wall, and that is a bent front left steering rod plus the rear suspension taking a bit of an impact there. And unfortunately, a right-hand corner is not exactly what he wanted to deal with at the moment. He'll have to try and limp that car back into the pit lane as he, nearly having a bit of a moment. He was stuck on the outside, tried to come back in, and nearly going and having a T-bone with one of our GT3 Porsches that was out there. Ronald McPherson tried to swing it into the pits a little bit too late. Instead of going on the inside line, he just couldn't get it through the right-hander, and unfortunately nearly had a little close contact up against. So absolutely great stuff. But This is hour 13 of our drive, 2 hours of Watkins Glen, round 6 of the Major Series Americas. And so far, Garen Batten, Ross Banfield, and Sebastian Jackson hold on to the top 3 of the GTPs. It is the likes of Austin O'Neill and Robert Nash that is going and chasing down in second place. And we've got Walling trying to close up the gap as well. Travis Walling in third place. Looking at our GT3s, it's PJ Stagoris, Trevor Vorosky, and Ethan Bass, who is holding on to the top 3, currently going and giving it everything they can, looking to maximize the points here tonight for this incredible race. And drivers located all over the world, whether you're in Australia, whether you're in the UK, Canada, or US of A, it is absolutely phenomenal to see such a monster grid. 49 cars started, 49 cars still battling out on track, and what a drive thus far, as everyone's looking to push it to the absolute limit around Watkins Glen. If you think back in the championship that we're going to have a nose-to-tail fight in all 3 of our classes here, our Pro, our Sport Silver, and Sport Bronze, where it is anyone's game to go up for that top spot and to walk away as the Major Series 2026 America's champion. Well, this is what it's all come down to. Everyone trying to really reach into their bag of tricks and ensure that they keep going. And it's all about maximizing what you can do. It's one thing about the Major Series, we get to drive different cars, different tracks, different disciplines, and test the drivers on each of those different disciplines. Now it is multi-class racing around Watkins Glen as one of the disciplines they needed to get away from. And previously it was some oval racing. I mean, Mike, we are seeing some of the drivers finding their feet here on road course racing that were at the back of the field come oval racing.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we still got 6 more races left here for the Americas. And I mean, we've got a good little mixture going here. We've got two ovals remaining, and then 4 road courses. And each of these road courses are all different. You know, our next event is going to be at Road America, followed by the NASCAR Cup cars for the Brickyard 400. And then we're going to Portland for the Portland GP and the Indy cars. And then we're going to head to Adelaide to run, I believe that's the old IMSA cars, if I'm not mistaken. We're going to run those. And then we're going to come back to Miami and run what looks like some more Formula cars there. And to end it out at Bristol in the Cup cars. So, I mean, 6 different kind of tracks, 6 different characteristics, 6 different cars. Let me tell you what, the battle for the championship coming down at Bristol on November 8th, you guys, you mark that on your calendar, circle it, because let me tell you what, we're going to crown a champion probably on the final lap of that race.
And don't think it is going to be over and done right until the wire. At the moment, though, Smith trying to carry on the momentum. He's trying to close up for that 6th position to the likes of Hall ahead of him. David Hall out in the BMW has been on a solid charge, up 3 places from where he started and continuing to go through. Eric Smith, unfortunately, down 3 places from where he started. The hardest charger in our GTP field is Sebastian Jackson, up 4 places from where he started. And Sebastian Jackson now running in 3rd place during the course of this race. He's not wanting to lose a bit of time out here. He's wanting to keep his foot on the gas. As for our LMP2s, we've got a few hard charges. Shane Vicari up 4 places. We've seen him run into a few problems. Roger Shank as well, up 4 places. And Bryce Roberts up 4 places as well. Those are the hardest charges in the LMP2 field. But now into our GT3s, well, it's going only one way for one driver, and that is Stephen Verweyen, who is up 10 places since the start of the race, 13 overall places. I mean, that is our hardest charger of note and has not given up the fight as yet. The Canadian driver is definitely not taking any prisoners. So you think the Canadians are going to say, sorry? Well, Stephen is the contrary to that one. He is going, bring me more. I need more. As we go and take a look, Robert Love out in the Buckies, going and losing it at the bus stop, coming to a stop, trying to get himself turned around, and will be rejoining safely. Not what he wanted to have, very, very close, as a couple of cars still looking for that apex. And unfortunately, there is the Buckies car that was parked there. Shane Vicari trying to give it everything he can, trying to open up the gap. He's lying in 6th place at the moment, with Dick Miller trying to close down Robert Northway further up the head, trying to get a little bit more of a dive as Garen Batten into pit lane for the GTPs. Is it going to be Sebastian Jackson and Christian Eto to follow through as well, as a number of our drivers now trying to get themselves sorted out? So Garen driving through pit lane will get himself done and dusted, a quick refuel, maybe a new set of tires onto the car to go and see if he can do. Sebastian Jackson's going to keep out going that extra lap and try and open his way through. Is Chris Yanetto going to do the same? Yes, he is. Chris moves up. Garen still in the pits. Ryan Worley deciding to go. Is this a good run for him? Well, this is an interesting change for Garen, who was leading out. He's decided to get an earlier pit stop than the entirety of the GTP field.
You know, we haven't really talked much about Sebastian Jackson in this 870 machine, as he is currently leading this field after Batten did come down pit road for service. So this is definitely a you know, somebody that has been sitting quiet in the race all day so far, and here he is now out front, and he's going to make the best of it with these GT3s. And let me tell you what, it's going to be very interesting to see where he will come out after his pit stop.
Sebastian Jackson hasn't been a big player so far in the championship. He's had 1 victory. He's had 2 times he's been on the podium, but he's running 23rd in the Pro Championship and looking to score big here tonight for Fusion Gold Americas. And as a team, Fusion Gold Americas is currently leading out the team championship, with Sector 5 Racing hot on the heels and Mega Racing Team holding on to 3rd. Udox Lola in 4th place, and Northern Apex Racing holding on to the top 5. I mean, there is still a lot of time to be had out here. And for Sebastian Jackson, he wants to try and open that gap every step of the way. But it was an interesting move pulled in by Garen Batten to get that car sorted out so early on in the stint. Is he opting to try and clear and run through to the end, or is he planning to do a short stop towards the last part? Has he worked out fueling to not go that little too short, or was he pushing way too hard, way too early? We'll only find that out towards the end. But Mike, this is an interesting run, because so far Sebastian Jackson is up in the running, but we cannot count out Chris, who has also been a championship fighter as well. Chris Yaretto holding on and trying to move forward. Remember, Chris is currently 1st in the Sports Silver division. He's now 2nd place in the GTP class.
Yeah, absolutely. You definitely cannot count Chris Yetio out of this just yet. You know, every single time that 888 machine comes out, that fusion, I don't know if it's because he fuses to this to these racetracks or what, but he is always one of the guys that you got to keep your eye on, because just like Sebastian Jackson, he'll strike at the very end without you even blinking.
And it just takes one mistake to go and throw it down. They're looking to maximize the points here overall and in their individual classes, as we do see Chris diving into the pits. Ooh, locking it up just before the line. Little bit quick coming into the pits, and as he stood on the anchors, realizing, hold on, a little bit quick here, locking up those rears, and I think has now got a bit of a flat spot on those rear tires as they get going. The Fusion team utilizing the Majors Garage setups, as we've got the Majors Garage giving setups for each of the special events for each of the different cars. Shout out to them. Guys, they've been using their setups a little bit now and has been helpful, especially as we build up towards the Majors 24-hour happening next week. And also, drivers have been testing those setups out to make sure they work perfectly fine for the series. Now, this is Ronald McPherson running into a problem. Oh, just loses the tail. And he's able to stop the car, but that was just a 2x for loss of control added on. Remember, if you got 16 X's, that is a drive-through, and every 8x after that is a drive-through, and it will start to punish you more and more. McPherson is the last of the running LMP2 class, but he is not throwing in the towel as yet. He's going to try and push that a little bit harder, see if it can work out for him, and where exactly is he going to be able to make up some time. So he's up in the pits, up on the jacks, and waiting to get himself sorted out, as we do see a number of our LMP2s now thinking about those pit stops as we get underway yet again. So we're already seeing the first round of pit stops coming in, and this should be, all intents and purposes, the last of the stops we see here tonight. So this is the final huge run for all our cars. Bryce Roberts now up the order. He is having a stellar run, up 5 places from where he started, 11th in class. Does see the BMW of David Hall giving him a quick flash, and it was close. Oh my word. Oh boy, that was a bit of a tough time. And Shingos, a really late move there for David Hall, and we were expecting some hard contact.
Whoop, I'm so sorry about that.
PJ Stagoras out on track as well, still leading out his class. I mean, that was a close moment between LMP2 and David Hall, who's been trying to keep the car together, running in second place.
Yeah, David Hall is definitely doing a phenomenal job in that number 42 BMW machine. You know, he's one of those drivers that you have to constantly watch, you know, because he's an outsider at this point. He's the only person driving a different manufacturer here in the GTP class. And he's like, you know what, you guys run the Caddy, I'm going to run this BMW and show you guys that I'm just as fast.
The BMW is a rather easy car to drive. I've got to say, it's one of those stable cars. It's not the quickest compared to all the GTPs. So if you look at the Ferrari, the Acura, the Cadillac, they've got some tremendous pace to them. The BMW sits in that little bit of a niche run. The Porsche also is quite a quick car, but the BMW has a very stable platform, if I can put it like that. It's very forgiving in its nature, and much like the GT3 counterpart, it's that old reliable you can keep going back to try and get through. You might not be the quickest out on the track, but it might be that one that gives you the hug that you needed, that little bit of confidence to really push you down and really move you forward up through the order. I know it's a different thing to look at. It doesn't sound as amazing as the rest of the cars, but it will be that old reliable that you can concentrate on, as we do see Tom Drayling coming into the pits. Sebastian Jackson leading out as David Hall up in second place. But take a look who's lying in third. Garen Batten, who was the first of the GTPs to do a second stop. He dropped all the way down to 8th. He is now up into third place and is giving it everything he can. But take a look who's sitting behind him. Ross Banfield, former leader of the race before the restart, and he's trying to move forward. Travis Walling is sitting with a meatball flag, and oh, that is a second-hand Dallara. It's a little bit skew. I think Travis is most certainly going to be taking that car back to the brink, and I think he met the wall a little bit too hard, and unfortunately was testing the crash structure on that car. So let's see what happened. Slipped out on the rear, and hard impact into the wall, nose, tail, and losing all the bodywork. Suspension on the rear gone, front suspension gone. As he started to move, it just wasn't going, bouncing all over the show. He opted rather to get it towed back to pits, and that most certainly has changed his race, as we do see our prototypes pulling into the pits. Mike, we're in for a race and a half right now. Everyone trying to give a hard push, but so far this is turning into a last lap dash. The more I'm looking at these incredible drivers pushing as hard as they can, the more I'm seeing more and more problems coming through. Everyone trying their utmost best to stay at the sharp end of the field, but just not getting a solid drive in and out.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, we're coming here just 30 minutes remaining here in about 50 seconds. You know, this race has just been absolutely phenomenal. Let me just, you know, start off by saying that, you know, and watching some of these drivers come back, you know, after having issues, you know, to the point where, well, now we have different leaders that we haven't seen out front all race long. You know, for instance, I was about to say like Mike the Turk, but he's now coming down pit road, and that's going to give it back to Austin O'Neill here in that number 5 Fusion machine. You know, this race isn't over, but we've got a lot of drivers still out here that are hungry for that race win, and the question also will remain, do we have a last second caution?
Well, that's it. We're heading into the final half an hour of this race. Now, I do want to point out the Carey, who is out on track in the LMP2 field, is doing rather well in the LMP2s, considering he does race in a Formula V out in Canada. And that hasn't got as much aero, if not any. The engine is basically the starter motor of these cars, and he's actually enjoying having that little bit of aero out there. And it does also give a bit of a sense of, we've got sim racers, we've got real racers, all getting to battle out here in majors, showing what they can do, really putting a talent on display, and having to utilize every bit of skill possible. I mean, multi-class racing is never easy, and you've got to really think about what your moves are going to be as they're trying to clear on, you know, to get past the GT3s. And we are seeing a fight ongoing at the moment with the number of our drivers. The number 1 of our GT3s trying to move up, and that's Christian Chella, who is on a solid run. He's trying to catch up to Ethan Bass. He's got Ryan Steely as well sitting behind him. I mean, Ryan has been keeping a solid bit of pressure out in that McLaren. Unfortunately, couldn't have got the drive out of the corner, and that allowed Christian to move back up and chase after Ethan once again. I mean, these are some incredible drives. We're still seeing that back and forth between everyone trying to move forward, not wanting to lose time. Timothy Klaus, however, will be losing time as he gets meatball flag. Let's take a look at what happened to Timothy Klaus. Oh, just as it turned around, touched into the wall, and solid hit. That's one of the Sector 5 racing cars of our was Eric Smith, just coming out of pit lane, nowhere to go, locked it up, bang into the side. He was hoping that the car would go away. Unfortunately, it landed up with both cars taking a bit of damage. And for Eric Smith, that is not what he wanted to have. This is a night to forget for Sector 5 racing, that's for certain.
Yeah, for sure. Sector 5 absolutely having a terrible day here at it, as Andy Banfield, he has some issues down here in the final couple corners here as he dives down into what will be NASCAR turn 7, and he'll spin it, get into the tire barriers right there, and then he'll pull back off. Yeah, I think he just has a little too much damage, because I believe he's just going to tow from here.
Yeah, Andy Banfield trying to get himself going. Unfortunately, not having a good time there. Cutting the lawn here at Watkins Glen. Not what the McLarens are built for. If you were driving a Lamborghini, I'd say that would be the tractor to make it happen. Ethan Bass under a bit of pressure here as he's getting a solid look. This is going to be a tough time for him. Bass trying to keep himself alive. Christian Chilner not wanting to lose out the drive. They are fighting out for 5th and 4th position in class, and Bass just narrowly holding on to that 5th place, is absolutely doing everything he can. Christian throwing down the inside, trying to see where he can really lean on this Mustang, and where can he get past Ethan, who is keeping a solid drive. The Scotsman not wanting to lose out to the likes of Ethan at the moment, of Christian Chilner. It is the Englishman versus Scotsman, And it is not a joke about the two walking into a bar. It is two drivers out here at Watkins Glen really throwing down at one another. These two have been at each other's throat for majority of the race and have each other's number right down to the wire. None of them are actually getting a solid drive past one another. They absolutely just having a ton of fun out there. For Christian, however, he needs to move up the order. Also, O'Neill leads out the Pro Championship, and Christian is second in the championship. He needs to maximize his positioning here in the GT3 category to ensure he has enough points to stay in for the fight for our majors standings in the Americas series. I mean, this is a very, very critical point for Christian to move up, and you can expect that he is under some serious pressure. Well, Bass, on the other hand, he is a little bit further down in the championship. He's just having a ton of fun out there, really getting to show what he can do and absolutely soaking up the pressure that's being dumped on him. So some tough racing out on the circuit. But Mike, we're getting into the closing stages of this. We're now to an hour 35 and there's 25 minutes remaining. Drivers have done their final stops, but if not, a fuel miscalculation is an absolutely terrible thing to even think about. And if you're starting to run a bit short of fuel, this is a nightmare case because there is no pulling into the pits. If you haven't changed the tires, they're going to be really running on the ragged edge.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we are within that 25 minutes, and I believe that we will not see a second caution. So these drivers now know, all right, we're not going to get that second caution. It's go time. So if they've been holding back, they need to go ahead and open up that throttle now because, you know, now it's go time, and these drivers only have 25 more minutes to get the job done on the people that they are racing in front. As Sebastian Jackson, he is now pitting, and that will turn the race lead over to David Hall in that number 42 BMW.
Little by little, he was making his way through. Damian Cotley, unfortunately, black flag coming in for him. And David Hall into the pits. This is an interesting one. David Hall into the pits, which means Garen Batten up into first place. But there is a problem up at the top. Huge impact against the wall. And that was one of our GTPs that absolutely ate it. That is Eric Smith, Sector 5. Once again, having one of their cars smashed to pieces. It looked like he got clipped on the rear. And that was a solid impact. Did he get clipped and thrown into the wall by one of the LMP2s he was trying to overtake? Yes, it is. Trying to overtake the LMP2, not enough room, a little bit of net code, and it was a second smack that did it in. It was a double 1-2 to just take Eric Smith into the wall. Sector 5 getting assisted by the Dog Bear team into the wall, and unfortunately, that is not what he wanted to have, especially after a long race. But Garen took an early pit stop. He tried to pull a little bit of a cheeky move, and it seems like it's worked out in his favor. Garen up to a stellar drive, lying 8th in the Pro Championship on 548 points. He has had 3 starts. He's been in the top 5. He's been in the top 5 only once this season, and he's trying to make it a total win for his class. He's trying to make it a win for the top 5 and for his 4th start this season. Garen has been on a stellar run and trying to bring this one home. This is a hard charge for him. He took the gamble, but Ross Banfield is going to be right onto the back of him. Don't count Ross out as yet. He's been a solid driver right through it, and he's lying 10th in the championship. The Udoxalola driver not giving up the fight. He has so far had 2 top 5s, 5 starts this season. This would make his 6th start, and he is absolutely giving it everything he can to maximize the points.
Yeah, absolutely. As you know, Ross Banfield, he is now right on the back bumper of Batten. I know Garen Batten, he's been looking for a race win here for quite a while. We thought a couple times, you know, early on in the season that Garen, he was going to bring home the race win in his class or even overall, and unfortunately he's just come up short, but here he is once again out front, but he's only out front by just maybe a 2 car lengths in front of Banfield. So this race isn't over as we're coming up here on 21 minutes remaining here. So Garen Batten, he's got a long time coming, and he's going to have to try to defend hard.
Yeah, and trying to clear through the traffic as well, not to get caught up in any problems. Garen, who has been driving all sorts of vehicles of late, including the Lotus 79s, where he's been actually rather successful in the Lotus 79s, but now trying to see what he can do in the GTP class. He's closing up on the 950, trying to get past and continuing on the drive. I mean, this is always a difficult drive, as they got past Roger Shank, who gave it everything he can. Didn't want to lose out too much time. He's currently lying 8th in his own class in the LMP2, but Garen trying to open up that gap. Ross Banfield all over the back of him. Nathan Dowd as well, trying to close up a little bit of time. And these are just incredible fights happening in and out on the circuit. Garen getting caught up in the bus stop, not able to get the drive that he wants, and immediately this is going to be turning into a bit of a difficult one. Trevor Vorosky fouled up Garen Batten through the bus stop, and this has allowed Ross Banfield to put his nose back in. The UDOX driver giving it everything he can to really close up on Garen. He does not want to see that GTP, the Fusion machine, get ahead of him, and is absolutely brawling left, right, and center as we've got fights up and down through the order. I mean, this is amazing stuff, Mike, and we are still seeing the last 20 minutes of racing. It is still that last little push to get it down to the wire.
Yeah, absolutely. As Garen, he's now coming into the final couple corners of this track. Ross Banfield, he's still right there in his tire tracks. And I don't know about you, but man, I am getting very, very antsy up here, as this is once again coming down to the wire, and that's something that Major Series always brings. But again, this is the nature of Watkins Glen as well. Just getting these guys together when you least expect it, especially when it comes down to the end.
And it's happening in all the classes. The LMP2, we've got Dirtchuk going and beating out Gustwick, but only just Miller trying to keep on to the back of him. We've got a 3-horse train there. We've also got the battle in the GT3s with Chilner trying to get past Bass at the moment. We have got fights up and down through the field. Vorosky trying to keep up a solid drive, and instantly Garen trying to get on the flashes, trying to warn the drivers, hey, listen, I'm coming through. Please don't hold me up. Diving down the inside, and I don't think it's going to be too much of a hold up for Ross Banfield, overtaking his teammate in the GT3 field, who opens up the door, doesn't allow any problems to happen from there. Garen trying to navigate through the UDOX team, not wanting to be fouled up, and he gets caught into the LMP2. Dick Miller trying to go for a pass right now as he sends it down the inside of Gustwick. He's able to carry on a solid drive, but it is a monster drive as we got a new change for the lead. Ross Banfield getting up ahead, and Garen down into second. Garen got fouled up and unfortunately loses out that first place. He now needs to get on a solid push to move him back up through the order. Let's quickly take a look at what happened to Austin Peterson as he was coming out.
Whoops.
And Austin,
my bad,
might have just put a wheel wrong there. So some great racing as this is the pass. Oh, Garen got fouled up, and that allowed Ross Banfield to get on by the UDOX team, having a little bit of a moment there. The LMP2 unfortunately catching the wall, but that was all that Ross Banfield needed to retake the lead of the race. And now Garen has to try and put some pressure back on the UDOX driver of Banfield, who is not losing any more time. He wants to make this work.
Yeah, absolutely. And Garen, he's not one driver to give up, and now he's going to really be pushing. As we see the 68 machine, he ends up with a black flag. The 68 stop and hold, 30 seconds for a unsafe rejoin.
Oof, not what you want to have, especially in the dying minutes of the race. Tom Drayling, unfortunately, not having an easy time as well. He has the 68 coming into the back of him. That is not what he wanted to have. That's Brian McGeevy that just outbraked himself, caught the back of Tom Drayling, unfortunately sending him into the dirt. And Tom now trying to play a little bit of a recovery drive, but you can also see the slight bit of damage on that rear left of his car. Cody Gustwick trying to have a go at Dick Miller. The two of them drag racing down into the bus stop. Who's the last of the late breakers? Late on the anchors. Dick gets on past, but he mounts over the curbs. Did he lose that little bit of drive? No, it looks like he actually managed to slingshot himself away from Gustwick. Cody now trying to play a little bit of catch up to Dick up the road from him. Cody Gustwick having a stellar drive right now, just trying to see what he can do to stay at the sharp end of the field. That top 5 running is within arm's reach, but he has to get past Dick Miller, and he does not want to be caught out by the traffic ahead of him, as our GT3 class also just trying to keep themselves going. It is our 15th position of our GT3s, and that's Robert Love, who hasn't had an easy time in the Buckies. McLaren at the moment just trying to mind out of the way, not wanting to get caught up in too much traffic, and see where exactly can he keep up that solid drive. Christian Chelner trying to make up the time, still fighting out with Bass right now, not having the easy go. The Porsche just not having the legs on the Mustang at the moment, as he closes up out of bus stop, but just loses out through the fast sweeps, so where the Mustang can just open up the power, utilizing that enormous V8 to try and break away from the 6-cylinder Porsche lying right behind him. They've now got the GTP field coming through, diving down the inside. It's going to work out for Chilner because he can absolutely keep himself going. Ross Banfield sets fast lap time of the race, trying to open up the gap to Garen Batten. Ross Banfield is absolutely keeping his foot to the floor now, wanting to try and go through, but he's going to have to try and get past his own class of Drayling ahead of him. This is where life gets a little bit more interesting, when you have to try and overtake your own class that has just as much power and just enough aero to keep them going, while you're fighting out for the lead of the race. Garen Batten trying to get that slingshot out of the bus stop, losing even more time, 1.1 seconds behind. It is a stellar race thus far, but it's not done as yet, as we do have a fight. Nathan Dowd and Rob Worley having a go for one another in 6th and 7th position in our GTP class. And take a look, Worley really doing everything he can. Nathan Dowd, who was at one stage of the game running second, heading into first place, then on the restart landed up with that significant amount of damage to the rear end of his car, fell down to 10th position, and now has slowly but surely fought his way back up into the top 6, and trying to keep Worley right behind him as he's chasing down David Hall in that BMW. And Nathan Dowd not counted out just as yet. A solid push from his part.
Yeah, Nathan Dowd has... Oh, sorry.
No, after you.
Yeah, Nathan Dowd is definitely doing his best to turn this race around. He was running, second, fighting for the race lead there when that caution came out. And as you said, unfortunately, he got caught up in other people's shenanigans, and that cost him the race win. But if he can come back and at least catch David Hall in that number 42, get himself in top 5, that's going to be one heck of a turnaround for Nathan Dowd. And despite, getting all that damage and not winning the race, he should be very proud of his performance here today.
Just trying to score points for the championship, as he's lying 3rd in the pro category, 3rd overall in the Majors America Series. He wants to try and have a chance to catch up to Christian Chilner and Austin O'Neill, who currently hold the 2 spots ahead of him. So Nathan Dowd has got everything to play for here. Not much he can give up. He needs to try and fight it out. He's got Robert Nash lying in 4th place, Derek Love in 5th, and Ryan Worley in 6th, Trevor Vorosky in 7th in the championship, along with Garen Batten, Ryan Steely, and Ross Banfield rounding out the top 10. of the championship. So it's all about maximizing the points at the moment. He is going past his own drivers, their own competitors out there, as Ronald McPherson getting a black flag as Alain Clinchot, unfortunately getting caught up. That rear end stepped out, he caught it, it snapped back, and that is one second-hand Mustang that is needing a little bit of repair work out on the circuit. This is Don Dolson, who had an Aston Martin check up into the back of him. Awesome. Two of them pointing in the wrong direction. And that's Austin Peterson that went right into the back. And this is the one thing about the GT3s. You can brake that a little bit later compared to the LMP2s. You carry a lot of corner momentum compared to the LMP2s in those tighter hairpins. But that little bit of underestimating the gap can cost you a huge amount of time. Banfield, who was 1.1 seconds up the road from Garen Batten, now losing a huge amount of time, and is now half a second, with Garen keeping that pressure on. Quick movement in and out through the GT3 field. Garen a lot more tentative compared to Ross Banfield. Ross tries to go for aggressive overtakes, but when he can't get it done, he loses out some serious time, as we saw to the Mystery Machine, and losing out a little bit of run through our GT3. But Ross Banfield wanting to try and hold on to that lead as we're into the final 10 minutes. Mike, this is turning into a wild race down to the wire in all three of our classes. GTP, LMP2 and GT3 all going for the last little spots. If it's now or never, Chilner trying to going after Bass for that third place. We've got Austin O'Neill, Robert Nash and Northway holding on to the top three of the LMP2. Banfield, Batten and Jackson hold on to the top three of our GTP. This is just an incredible race, and it's not done as yet. It's still a very close run up and down through the order.
Yeah, I'm actually very surprised to see that Ford Mustang of Ethan Bass is somewhat pulling away from Christian Challenger here around this circuit, because those cars are quite heavy, and these elevation changes for these Mustangs, it kind of slows their momentum a little bit. But man, let me tell you what, Ethan Bass, he's figured out how to drive that machine, and he's still holding strong in that third position.
Running low wing, I would presume, to maximize that top end speed. Garen Batten retakes the lead ahead of Ross Banfield. So lead change right into the dying minutes, and it's in through traffic, where I do suspect that's where Garen managed to get the upper hand on Ross Banfield as they try and navigate their way through. This is what happened. It was Ross Banfield that got it all out of shape. And it's Garen down the inside, threaded the needle to get it done and dusted. Oh boy, that could have ended in tears for a number of drivers. Thankfully, everyone kept it all together. Ross Banfield, now losing a bit of time, has to try and work his way through the UDOX team not to get fouled up. And Garen opening up that distance, 1.2 seconds ahead, with Sebastian Jackson holding on to third place. He is 7 seconds ahead of Cristian Neto. We're now into the last 8 minutes of this race. It has been a phenomenal time, but this is where, for all the drivers, it's take that deep breath, find that second win, give yourself that large push down to the wire. Who is going to have enough in the tank to really take their way to the top? It is going to be a monumental charge. It's going to be an exceptional charge. It is going to be an absolute give it your all right down to the wire, as each of the different classes will be giving it their all. And I do suspect there's a few of the LMP2s, a few of the GTPs, a few of the GT3s that are watching their relatives saying, come on Garen, either get past me, and others saying, Garen, you stay behind me, I need that extra lap, I need to try and go for it. And one of the teams is going to be Christian Chilner, who's giving a go, and Nathan Dowd sets the fastest lap right towards the end. Nathan Dowd going and showing that the Sector 5 racing is not completely out of the woodwork as yet. They still have a chance lying in that top 5. Christian Chilner trying everything he can to get past Bass at the moment, and it is a absolute brawl between these two. The Porsche versus Mustang. Two different ideas in terms of GT3 cars getting put to work here in the Majors Series Americas for round 6 of the championship for 2026. Drivers trying to give it that big push down to the wire, and Christian having to open up the corner, seeing the LMP2s coming through, now having the GTPs coming through. It is getting rather busy heading in towards our bus stop chicane, and Bass needing to just lift off that little bit, doesn't want to get into the rear of the prototypes, but immediately Christian coming back at him, having a brilliant run out of the bus stop chicane, looked towards the inside line, couldn't quite get it done, and is looking for that 3rd place. Absolutely gunning it down to the wire here. Mike rearing for a race up and down through the field. 3rd place in the GT3s on the cards, 1st place in the GTP up on the cards.
Yeah, absolutely. Both of these classes right now are battling nose to tail right now for their respective positions. You got Garen Batten and Ross Banfield in the GTPs, just a half-second separation between them. And then this year's a battle for the podium here in the GT3 with Bass and Challenger as they continue to make their way around this circuit, still trying to fight each other while letting those LMP2s and GTPs by as well. It's a big dance for these GT3s because they've got a lot going on. You may be the slower class, but let me tell you what, when you're trying to fight the guy in front of you, to let people by you at the right spots, it's a challenge. And let me tell you what, these two drivers right here, they are giving it their all as Bass. I thought he was going to try to go 3 wide, but he will go ahead and make a dive deep there on that car right there in front of him. I'm not exactly sure who that was.
That's the 87.
Oh, Derek Love.
Derek Love.
Yeah, getting a really good run here now. Coming down the back straightaway, using that draft a little bit, and seeing if he can make some sort of run here in the bus stop. Man, he's so strong here.
He is absolutely utilizing every inch of curbing and more. He's paid for the track and he's going to use every inch of it. That is for certain. We did see earlier in the shot Garen and Ross trying to navigate their way through this fighting duo, which hasn't made it any easier as they've been absolutely brawling. But a couple of drivers that have been just untouched at the moment. It's been Austin O'Neill, who has held the line in the LMP2 class 4 seconds ahead of Robert Nash and Robert Northway, but also it is PJ Stagoris who currently holds the lead of the GT3 since the start of the race. PJ has not released that GT3 lead, same as Austin O'Neill has had the same run with the LMP2s. They have been a dominant force in both classes and now just trying to see it right down to the wire and seeing who can move forward. So this is turning into a monumental drive, but we are getting closer and closer and closer to the end of the race. These drivers will be willing that checkered flag to come out. They are asking for it to come out. I know Garen Batten, every lap at this stage of the game, he is looking over to Tim, the flag marshal, saying, come on, put that flag out. Come on, give me a little bit of room here. I need this 1st place. I've been fighting for it. And now Ross Banfield is absolutely up his gearbox. He is making dead sure to fight it out. Garen lying 8th in the championship, looking to score massive points here tonight. Ross Banfield lying 10th in the championship, trying to score massive points here tonight. And these two are absolutely throwing haymakers at one another to try and make it work out as we onboard the gearbox of Garen Batten, who's trying to pull away from Ross Banfield. You can see how they close up on one another, how they really full taps on these Cadillacs, trying to utilize all the power coming out of combustion and hybrid. They are trying to just get as much drive out as possible to move forward. But now with the traffic getting in the way, they got PJ Stagoris ahead of him, that they're going to have to try and clear past that Aston Martin. They look to go around, easy overtake there. But now it's trying for Garen to clear past the teammate of Ross Banfield, who gently does move out the way, opting not to get involved in the fight. A really good move there. I thought the teammate strategy might come into play. Ross Banfield around the outside. Garen Batten holds down the inside, really forcing both drivers out wide. Garen just managing to get the drive over Ross Banfield. Both of them would have picked up an incident point there. And I think both are flirting with that drive through at the moment, trying to really take every little liberty that they can to stay up for the sharp end of the field. You can see a couple of cars lifting, allowing our leaders to come through. That means they got one lap less that they have to deal with around this Watkins Glen. It has been a monumental fight, but it's coming down to the wire. Garen opening up the distance with Banfield, trying to close down that distance as we head into the final minutes of this 2-hour race. It is a monumental charge. Who has got enough in the tank, possibly, to go that extra lap here at Watkins Glen? As we saw, Garen did take a shorter stop and an earlier stop than Ross Banfield. Has that worked out in his favor, or is he going to get caught out? The checkered flag is not at the ready as yet as they come through. 30 seconds to go now, and it might be a hard charge. So Garen trying everything he can to hold back Ross Banfield. It's a couple of corners to make it work for him. He does see the GT3's head, not wanting to get fouled up. It is not going to be it. White flag only shown now as they do come across the line, and it's side by side. They thought it was going to be over, and it's contact between the two. Ross Banfield and Garen climbing into one another. Banfield gets a black flag for track limits, and that is Banfield into a world of trouble. It was close across the line. I think both drivers were expecting the checkered flag. Garen getting into the back of Ross Banfield, who sent him hard into the tires there. He was trying to move across, and Ross Banfield did not want to get caught up behind the GT3, and there's the hard impact, and that is Ross Banfield into the wall, losing out the run. That promotes Sebastian Jackson up into second, and Nathan Dowd up into third. Christian Chilner gets a black flag as well, right on the last. Also O'Neill leading out the LMP2. Robert Nash holding on to second place, with the likes of Robert Northway holding on to third in the LMP2 field. It is Stagoris, Vravorsky, and Bass that will be taking the top three, as Chilner will have to serve that black flag and will be out of the running for the top three race after pushing so hard to try and get past Bass. Garen, who has been in an absolute fight of note, unfortunately it was that contact heading down into turn one that set up the problem. They were so close across the line, and I don't think both drivers were expecting to go that extra lap. They sent it through, but Garen Batten will take the victory overall in the GTP field, with Sebastian Jackson taking second place, with Nathan Dowd trying to close up that 1.5 seconds to them. It is going to be Austin O'Neill, a dominating run on his LMP2 charge, but it is PJ Stagoris who will take the victory in the GT3 field ahead of Trevor Vorosky, and Bass holding on to that third place. Trevor Vorosky did everything he could to try and close down on PJ, but has to be content with a second place in class. What a drive for the Porsche driver, and also well done to Ethan Bass out in that Mustang, who had an absolute stellar fight. Sebastian Jackson will come across the line, and he is absolutely trying to do everything. Nathan Dowd might catch him down towards the wire, but it is going to be Jackson. 0.2 of a second separating himself and Nathan Dowd right at the line. Nathan gave it everything he could to get right back. I mean, Mike, this has been an incredible race. Topsy-turvy of note, but some incredible racing.
Yeah, really good run there by Nathan Dowd to come back after getting all that damage. We got one vehicle stalled out of the final corner, but here comes Austin O'Neill in that LMP2 to take home the class win, and Robert Nash following right behind him, as well as Robert Northway. He's already completed his race here. I know that we had one car just kind of stalled down at the entry to pit road. Not sure who that was. He's
And
definitely
looks to
trying.
be that is one of our GTPs that's coming down pit lane. And there is Garen Batten taking a lovely shot of the Fusion car on the start finish line. And what a drive on his part. He had to really work hard down to the wire here at Watkins Glen to go for the victory. I mean, this has been an incredible race. And gotta say, well done to all our competitors. Garen Batten, Sebastian Jackson, Nathan Dow taking the top 3 in the GTP. LMP2 was Austin O'Neill, Robert Nash, and Robert Northway taking 1, 2, 3. And PJ Stagoras, Trevor Vorosky, and the likes of Ethan Bass rounding out our GT3 field. It has been a dominating charge. There is PJ coming in, and he took the victory. There is our provisional results. Garen Batten, Sebastian Jackson, Nathan Dowd, David Hall, followed by Ryan Worleytuck on the top 5. Jason Lottridge, Ross Banfield in 7th position after that contact right at the end. Christian Eto, Jason Wallet, Tom Drayling, Eric Smith, who's had a difficult time out on the track. Carl Graham, unfortunately, did not start the race. Will finish up in 12th. Moving on to our LMP2, it's Austin O'Neill and Robert Nash to take first and second. Robert Northway holding up in third. Mike DeTruck along with Dick Muller, Cody Gustwick, Shane Vicari, Wayne Hutchison, Roger Shank along with Bryce Roberts, Travis Walling, Bob Bertolome along with Don Dolson, Timothy Klaus, Brian McGeevy, Ronald McPherson, Joseph Homan, and Tommy King rounding out our LMP2 field. 53 laps down, an early retirement on his part. Moving on to our GT3s, it is PJ Stagoras, Trevor Vorosky, Ethan Bass, Christian Abbott, Austin Peterson, David Baker, Christian Chelner, along with Brenton Foster, Stephen Verweyed, Dylan Based, Dylan Barnes, along with Ryan Steely, Derek Love, Lynn Kirchlow, along with Robert Love, Annie Banfield, Damian Cotley, Ray Partridge, Brett Picuri, and Craig Hawkins rounding out 59 laps down in 20th position. Oh boy, what a drive. What a time, Mike. I mean, this has been such an incredible race. And I can't wait to have a chat to some of the drivers on this phenomenal run and seeing how they got to duke it out till the very end here at Watkins Glen for the 2 hours of Watkins Glen as part of round 6 of the Major Series Americas Championship for 2026. Each of our class winners, and we'll be going through them. I don't know, we're getting them into the box. Come and join us and have a bit of fun out there. We'll get a bit of an inside information to what was going on behind the cars and have a chat to them as well. So we're just waiting for the drivers to come through and see if we can get hold of Garen Batten and Austin O'Neill, who will be moving up into the interview room, and we'll get them pulled into the box, get them mic'd up, and enjoying a bit of a chat with us. So, as we just wait to have a chat to our leaders, this also does move up into the championship. I do think there's going to be a few discussions after the race, Mike, to try and clear the air after a tremendous run right here at Watkins Glen. What's your take on it?
Yeah, definitely. There's going to be a lot of talks. Right now, Garen, he is your unofficial winner, but at the end of the race, we did see that contact between Garen, and Ross Banfield. So how will our race control have to determine the race winner this way? Do they feel that, Garen caused the incident, or do they feel that Ross caused the incident, or was it just a race incident? We have to wait and find out from that as well. But as of right now, we will still, do interviews with Garen. But right now, just you guys got to be paying attention to majorseries.com results, because these can always change. So definitely going to be something that we're going to keep our eye on. And again, I can't say anything more about Nathan Dowd. What a freaking run out of that driver. Getting that contact on that restart, coming down, falling back a minute behind, came out 10th, I think you said, and he is finished up here on the podium. Just what an incredible run out of him. And Stephen, if you are ready, you ready to start off interviews?
I think let's bring our drivers through and let them enjoy as we're going to have a chat to each of our different drivers. Garen Batten going to be in. So we've got Garen Batten from our GTPs. Garen, welcome to the commentary box. What a race out there with Ross Banfield. A hard-fought fight between the two of you. Nothing but just pure racing action. How are you feeling after the race? And also take us through some of the planning, because you were taking some very early stops in the race to try and get the jump through the field.
Must not swear. Yeah, still shaky a bit. I'll answer the pit thing first. I mean, obviously, we all came and stopped at the first safety car, and then Ross and I got away to such a lead. It was kind of just the two of us left, and when he pitted, because there's still the chance of there being another safety car, it was kind of a case of I had to follow him, because otherwise, if a safety car came out, he was already stopped. I haven't. Safety car, pits close, we all get, we all concertinated back up. He would have just had the lead. So I had no choice. I had to follow what he did. And it kind of worked anyway, because the overcut is the faster way of doing it at this track, because the tyre warm up on these cars is so bad that, him having the outlet first meant that I was probably always going to come out back in front. But from there, man, I've never done 25 qualifying laps like that in my life. Like, I was just like, Ross is an amazing driver. He's super fast. And he was probably running at 85, 90, I don't know, maybe 95%, but certainly not 100%. That's everything I had. Everything that I had. I started taking risks with traffic when normally I'm trying to be, conservative. I started using curbs. I started burning 1Xs. That's everything I had just to try and stay, in the game. And then it became a luck in the traffic game. And, there was plenty of luck, both good and bad, for both of us in that last 10 laps.
And, well, one little comment that you've made during the course of this past week, that if you had to put this on a spicy meter, where would it be, Garen? I mean, is it a lemon and herb, or where would it be on a spicy meter for you for this race?
Oh, what is it? Whatever the ghost chili, whatever level stuff. I mean, you got 50 cars ranging from guys in the 8,000 iRating former pro level, guys that get paid to do this, down to, I've got to be careful what I say here, people that, weekend warrior would be kind. And that's not that we don't want them in the majors. We do. This is a series where, we want everyone to participate. It's just unfortunate this particular race that we ended up with only one split, and so we had all of those people on here together. You also then mix that in with multi-class, and it was always going to be pretty entertaining. And it certainly was from my seat. So, look, I'm pretty sure that you guys wouldn't have ever had nothing to talk about or to show on the stream. And there was certainly no laps with any rest in the race of the drivers either.
Well, it was absolutely phenomenal to see the battle going on. Are you feeling a bit more confident for the championship now, heading into round 7, as we say farewell to Watkins Glen after a solid fight?
My focus is Teams Championship. I didn't do the first couple of rounds in Americas. I'm sort of here as one of the support drivers for Fusion. So, my focus is purely on getting points for the team. But hey, if you happen to snag a win for yourself, that's a pretty good way to score lots of points for your team. So, that's my focus, is just making sure that I'm scoring every round as much as I can, and trying to get Fusion to the top of the Pro Series in Americas, which I don't think anyone's beaten Mega/Giga in many, many, many years. So, that's what we're aiming for, is that team.
Absolutely wonderful. Well, before I let you go to enjoy the celebrations in the GTP class, anything you would like to say to all our partners here in the Majors Series, to all the drivers, to all the teams, and most importantly, I think you can agree with me on this one, all the fans out in the virtual grandstands cheering on all the action every time we get on the track?
Yeah, look, I want to thank majors in general. I want to apologise to everybody, on behalf of the competition committee for the delay in the race today. I'm sure that there'll be details put in the Discord if you really care. But anyway, look, sorry for the delay in the race start. Look, to the series partners, to Swoodspeed, to Sim Science. Inside the Majors podcast, give that a plug. You should have a listen to that. The two really cool podcasts coming out this week. We'll have a FAQ / ask anything you like of Mike ahead of the Majors 24 next weekend coming out, and also some details on some of the really cool products and apps that Sim Science have that they'll be offering to people in the sim racing community. For anyone that hasn't, the SimSpeed Majors inspired gloves, which is based on this year's Majors 24 poster. If you haven't gone and had a look at that and grabbed a pair on pre-order, please do. Pre-ordering is the only way to ensure that you get a pair of those gloves. And look, to everybody else, and Ross, I'm really sorry that the race ended that way. But yeah, I mean, it's the last lap and it was go time for everybody. And so, I hope there's no hard feelings there. I kind of feel like I didn't do anything wrong. He might feel the same, I'm not sure. But yeah, look, I hope that there's no hard feelings there. So thanks everyone for participating. We've got a pretty big break after the 24. But yeah, look forward to coming back to the majors again in July.
Absolutely. That is going to be a ton of fun. Garen, congratulations on your win overall and in the GTP class. Try and have something to drink. I know you are on your last nerve right now after a stellar race. Congrats once again. And well done on a phenomenal fight. It was fantastic to see up here in the box.
No worries. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Garen Batten taking the victory in the GTP class. And Mike, what an incredible drive on his part. And that's not just the end of all our chats. We have got Austin O'Neill, who is winner of our LMP2 class that had a phenomenal run and was untouchable during the course of this race. And what a drive it was. Also, O'Neill, welcome to the commentary box. And you were untouchable in the LMP2 class. A phenomenal qualifying, a phenomenal start, and a phenomenal end. From start to finish, you have been a dominating force. How are you feeling after that? And it also helps raise you further up in the championship as well.
Yeah, I don't. Unstoppable might be a little bit of a stretch. The first stint, I was kind of sweating behind Robert Nash. I knew he would be, one of the cars to beat, and he fired off and took off and left me really, and I was like, oh, this is not going to plan. I didn't know kind of what to do, and I think as the run went on, like my car kind of started to come to me, and his stuff might have went away, and I was able just to kind of like park it behind him and see where I was better at and where he lacked, and yeah, it's a lot of things just went the right way. The safety car came out right before I was going to pit, which saved me. And parking it behind Nash for so long, I was able to jump him in the box. And then we just with the restart being mixed between GTPs, GT3s, and LMP2s, it gave me enough of a gap to get away from his toe, or get him out of my toe, because he just had a lightning quick car from T1 to the bus stop. So I knew if I could kind of just get away from him, I'd be all right, and just hope and pray traffic was friendly. And 2 races today with Euro in Americas now. The traffic was very interesting, to say the least. They surprised me every time I came around, but I'm just lucky I was able to kind of escape with no injury.
Well, with that being said, you were in the middle class out on the track. What was the most difficult part to get around some of the back markers? Did you find the bus stop as the trickiest? Did you find going into the boot as a trickier part? What was the difficult part for an LMP2 driver to deal with? Not only the GTPs that are far quicker in horsepower, but they same speed through corners, and the GT3s that can brake a lot later and follow you into the corners. What was the most difficult part on the track for you?
I don't know if there's like one part that was more difficult. It was just more frustration on the side of that. You get the back marker GT3s that would say we're running outside the top 10 and really not fighting anybody in their class that just still raced you in the corner, or just I'm fine with making the leader work for it. But there's a point when there's a battle going on, or or there was just no point in putting yourself in that position. But yeah, it got at the actually the last lap it got pretty hairy. I think a GTP got spun leaving the S's, and I had just a gaggle of GT3 cars the rest of the lap, and nobody was wanting to let me go. They weren't really racing for anything, as far as I know, and my 4 second lead went down to 2 on Nash. So I was sweating there, but I was just, yeah, I mean, it's just, part of multi-class racing, and yeah, I've been on the receiving end and on the giving end of it, so it's just how this stuff goes, and you can, do the best with it, or, it's just part of it.
Well, with that being said, before we let you go to enjoy the celebrations with the Fusion team, anything you want to say to all our partners here at the Major Series, to all the teams and drivers that you have been fighting alongside with, but also to the incredible race fans tuning in from around the world to see some of the best iRacing drivers take on one another?
Yeah, I thank you and Mike for putting this on. It's my Sunday nights end with rewatching the broadcast back, so I really appreciate you guys doing this. But before I get to the end of this, that we came into this weekend with our team split very well through all 3 divisions, and there was a slight hope that we could maybe sweep them all. But just really proud of PJ and Garen for both getting the win in GTP and GT3. They, from what I heard, they had to really work for it, just like I did. So, kind of a fairy tale ending there. It's really rewarding to see, everybody's hard work going and throughout the week, pay off, and really cool to see, all 3 of our Fusion cars up front. It's been definitely probably the best season Fusion's had as a whole, and obviously the best I've had in my stint with the majors. But no, I mean, I can't thank everybody back there, Suit Speed, Inside the Majors podcast, Majors Garage, Sim Racing Stewards, everybody that's partnered with us. And then too, I mean, I got to give Nash a shout out. That was the first stint. Yes, it was frustrating parked up behind him, but we got through traffic at the end of it, and everybody was playing pretty nice. It was so much fun just weaving back and forth through him. And I just want to thank him, for running me clean. And we'll see what we can do going to Road America here in a month.
Absolutely. Well done, Austin O'Neill, currently leading out the championship and had a stellar effort in the LMP2s. We're looking forward to having a chat with you real soon, and good luck for the Majors 24 happening next weekend.
Yes, we're back in the P2 car with the Fusion 19, so that's going to be a really fun stretch this past week. I was able to pick up the win in Euro and here in America, so maybe we can sweep the week and go 3 for 3. But yeah, it'll be fun. I hope everybody can come out, enjoy the Majors 24, and check out Set Speed's gloves, and have a good run.
Absolutely phenomenal. Austin, thank you so much for joining us, and well done on your victory in the LMP2 class here at Watkins Glen. What a drive it has been with Austin O'Neill. But now we have got our last interview, not to be forgotten, with a solid run, part of the Fusion team. PJ, welcome to the commentary box. What a drive in the Aston Martin. How are you feeling after that? I mean, it got rather hairy a few times, and it looked like you might end in the wall, but you are like a cat with 9 lives.
Yeah, that was a wild race. I was kind of in survival mode there for a while in the traffic. Just, sometimes it's better to lift and coast than try to race somebody and risk the incident. So, I mean, thanks to guys at Fusion Racing and especially at NX Racing for their help with the setup. That car was really dialed in today. That makes things a lot easier. And then, fortunately, Christian had his little jingle there behind me, so. I'd hate to see that and win it that way, but sometimes in a league like this, you kind of take them however you can get them, right?
Yeah, you got to always try and find that leg up on the opponent. You can always send a "I'm sorry" letter afterwards, but still, that being said, how was the restart for you? Because it looked like it got a bit hairy at the start. People getting on throttle quite early, others a little bit less so. You landed up smack bang in the middle, trying to avoid some carnage around you.
Yeah, that restart, that was sketchy. iRacing's green flag method road courses is a little strange sometimes, but yeah, I'm just saw parts laying on the track and cars spinning and everyone was 2 and 3 wide. It's just I was that was chaotic. So it was nice to just survive that at least.
And with your pit stops, was it planned to try run out long? Because we were seeing you stretching that tank as long as you could before diving into the pits. Was that the original plan, or was it try and get a short stop and then focus on just emptying the tank out?
Oh yeah, for sure. It was trying to stretch it to make one stop, but that safety car kind of saved us from doing that. So I broke the rest of the race up in half and was able to kind of short fuel with new tires and kind of just run some qualifying laps there at the end. So almost get back into the 43s. So that was a lot of fun pushing like that. And congrats to Garen and Austin on sweeping the classes. That's pretty cool to do that here.
Well, absolutely phenomenal stuff. Before we let you go to enjoy the celebrations and after a stunning drive, anything you would like to say to all our partners here at the Major Series, to all the drivers and teams that you battle out with out in the series, and most importantly, to all the incredible fans tuning in from around the world, going and cheering all of our drivers on here at the Major Series?
Yeah, I mean, thanks to all the guys behind the scenes that make this all happen. Mike Ouellette, Garen, I know puts a lot of time into this, and so many others. Jake Fox, all the sponsors. One of my personal sponsors at SimuCube. Thanks to them, and all the guys you guys with the broadcast and all the people that make this happen and make this a successful, fun league to race.
Absolutely wonderful to have you, and well done once again on a stellar victory in the Aston Martin for the GT3 class. Looking forward to having a chat to you a little bit later on and seeing how well it goes, and good luck for racing in the Majors 24-hour next weekend.
Thank you, guys.
PJ managing to get a solid run. Mike, it has been an incredible race, but we got to say farewell to round 6 and look forward to round 7 as we're going to the Sim Science Grand Prix, and that is going to be an absolutely ton of fun. Registrations will be opening up in due course for that one. Next weekend we got the Majors 24-hour, 18th of July. We have got the Road America 12-hour for the MEC. I mean, there is so much going on heading into the races. I mean, this is going to be a ton of fun, and what not to miss here in the Major Series for Americas, but also for the Majors Endurance Championship and the big events that everyone wants to be at, the Majors 24. Any closing thoughts from your side?
Man, just what an incredible race all around. Congratulations again to Garen Batten, Austin O'Neill, PJ Sturgios on your guys' wins here today at Watkins Glen. Man, if this is any indicator of what is to remain, the final 6 races of this season, man, I am ready to get to Road America. But first, we do have to get through the Majors 24, and man, I'm going to be a busy guy next weekend between, broadcasting the first 6 hours and the last 6, and in between I'm going to be racing out there. So I'm definitely excited for next weekend. And Steven, if you're racing, good luck to you as well, and to all the other drivers out there that's running. 900 teams, Steven, has signed up so far here as of today.
It's going to be one to keep an eye out for. And also, as our season starts wrapping up in both the Majors Endurance Championship, with Season 3 going to be opening up shortly, there is still room for you to enter. If you would like to go and be part of the Majors Series, if you'd like to be a part of the Majors Endurance Championship, or even the Majors 24, head over to www.majorseries.com. Go and sign up with all the incredible racing and be a part of the show. But also, if you're looking to grab some of the best setups in the biz, make sure you go and take a look at Majors Garage. I've been utilizing a couple of their setups to make sure that we are all geared up for the big races, and it's going to be one to keep an eye out for. Folks, thank you so much for joining us. A massive thank you to all of our Majors Series partners, to the likes of Mike Taylor for all the hard work, pushing all the buttons behind the scenes, controlling all the cameras, and having to put up with talking to me for a long time. I mean, Mike, sorry, you can send me the psychological bill as a bit of a sorry, buddy. I'll pay for it. Don't stress. But also a massive thank you to all the drivers, to all the teams racing with us, and most importantly to you, the petrol heads out in the virtual grandstands, keeping us going every single time we hit the track, cheering us on. Doesn't matter where we are around the world. It's absolutely wonderful to have you guys here. Make sure you hit that subscribe button along with the bell notification icon. Leave a like and also leave a comment of what was the best part of the race for you and who do you think is going to be able to take the championship at the end of the Major Series America come the end of the year. And also, let us know, are you racing in the Majors 24? Every comment helps with the YouTube algorithm, and we love to get that little bit of feedback from you, the petrol heads. Folks, it's been a great one, and like always, from the Major Series commentary booth here, Mike Taylor and myself, Stephen Koenig, we'd like to say a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, everybody.